My beloved child, do not take another breath lightly, because this is not just a message, it is a divine summons. Even now, eternity bends toward this moment, and I refuse to let you sleep through what heaven has scheduled for your name. The enemy hopes you scroll away, but I am here to stop you. This is not tomorrow. This is not someday. This is now, the very hour where your future pivots, where delay dies, and where destiny demands your yes. Miss this, and you risk missing what I carved out of eternity for you. Stay. Listen, for before this night ends, your atmosphere will shift permanently. I'm shaking you awake in your spirit, sounding an internal alarm because I refuse to let you miss what I've planned. Too many times you've ignored the urgency I've whispered. Too many times you've asked for signs but hesitated to act. But tonight, my child, is the answer to prayers you no longer even remember. It's a night where the outcome of years will pivot in the unseen. I'm not here to explain everything, but to prepare you. I'm here to arrest your attention and shift your posture from passive to present. If you could see the importance of what's unfolding, you wouldn't wait another second. Your name has echoed in the heavens, and your enemy knows it. He has seen the scroll with your instructions and heard my voice declare that the time is now. That's why he's stirring up confusion, anxiety, and delay, hoping you'll sit this one out. But I'm here to pull you forward. Do not scroll past this moment. Don't say, maybe tomorrow. This is the appointed time. I am not arriving as a guest. I am stepping in as the author. I will take over what you've surrendered. I will expose what has been hidden in the shadows and confront the lies that pretended to comfort you. Tonight, I am not asking you to perform. I am calling you to posture. Stand still. Be silent before me. Know that the fire that's falling is not meant to destroy you, but to refine and reveal. The windows of heaven are not cracked. They are thrown wide open. But you must be alert, present, and willing to shed the version of yourself you've outgrown. You must pick up the new identity I've already prepared for you. This night is not random or small. It carries consequence and eternal ripple effects. Don't just prepare your body, prepare your belief. Don't just clear your schedule, clear your atmosphere. Let everything that doesn't serve my purpose be removed. I will not bless what is built on compromise or pour into a vessel that chooses comfort over calling. This night requires a yes and a turning of your heart toward me. You've prayed for clarity, and I'm sending it, but it may not look like what you imagined. You've asked for restoration, and I'm starting it tonight, but it will require separation. I am coming with both mercy and fire, both comfort and correction. You are no longer waiting. I am waiting for you to step into what's ready. Be alert, be awake, be empty of excuses. You are standing at the edge of a breakthrough. It will only manifest if you're aware of the hour you're in. This is not just a night. This is the night your atmosphere changes permanently. The imminent dispatch. As the clock nears the divine threshold, understand that a force has already been unleashed, released by my command from the throne room above. This isn't a concept or a theory. It's an active movement from the spiritual realm, dispatched with precision to intersect your very existence. It doesn't wander or get delayed. What's heading toward you was sent because of your persistence and the weight of your surrender. While others see only the ordinary passing of hours, I see a divine collision approaching. A meeting between what has been stored up and what has been longed for. This is not generic favor. It is customized fulfillment. I'm talking about specific answers, tangible movement, and irreversible change. I'm sending things that cannot be touched by earthly delays, intercepted by human hands, or explained by natural logic. It's not something you summon through effort. It's something I ordained through covenant. There's a spiritual dispatch with your name on it, carrying the exact shift that has eluded your own strength. This isn't coming because you earned it. It's coming because I declared it. And it's closer than you think. That heaviness you felt recently, that pressure you couldn't explain, it wasn't punishment. It was spiritual tension building just before the sky breaks open. What's on its way is not chaos, it is correction, recalibration, and confirmation all in one. The very atmosphere around your life is being saturated in preparation for this impact. You may not see it, but heaven is vibrating with motion. What once felt stuck is now actively shifting. The winds are no longer resisting, they are beginning to respond. The space around you is being cleared because what's incoming requires no obstacles in its path. And let me say this, not everyone around you is prepared for what I'm sending. That's why you felt a sudden separation, strange silence, and unexpected shifts in alignment. This isn't rejection, it's divine distancing, so nothing interferes with what's arriving. I'm making the landing zone ready, and that includes your inner world. Thoughts must now bow, and emotions must no longer dominate your focus. This release is not just a touch, it's a takeover. It will rearrange what you thought you knew, remove what you thought you needed, and revive what you thought was over. Don't try to explain it to those who weren't part of the release order. You will waste precious spiritual energy trying to make logical sense of something sacred. This is why your sleep has been restless and why time has felt both fast and slow. It's because something is approaching, and it is divine, and it is for you. This is not a season of wondering. This is the hour of watching. Watch the sudden clarity come. Watch the misalignment dissolve. Watch the unseen become visible. But do not spectate passively. Your attention is your invitation. Your expectation is your key. Your belief is the runway. I need you to make space in your spirit because what I'm sending doesn't fit into what you've known before. It will expand your capacity, stretch your understanding, and require you to respond, not just receive. What has been set loose from my hand carries deliverance, restoration, and promotion in the same breath. It will not knock, it will enter. It will not announce itself, it will manifest. Stay present, stay yielded, stay expectant, because what's coming has no intention of turning back. It has arrived to accomplish what only heaven could orchestrate, and it is already drawing near to the doorstep of your destiny. The end of postponement. You've lived beneath a ceiling of postponement for so long that waiting began to feel like your permanent address. But I declare without hesitation that the countdown has crossed its last threshold, and postponement is dying at dawn. Every unanswered petition, every paused dream, every season that felt like walking through thick sand has been moving quietly and invisibly toward this very juncture. The final grain in that weary hourglass is slipping away. Hear me with urgency. The stopwatch heaven pressed when you first cried for breakthrough has reached its alarm, and nothing can silence the ringing. Systems that slowed you, red tape that choked momentum, and circumstances that tampered with timing have all been issued an eviction notice. I have summoned my swiftest messengers to retrieve what was tangled in the bureaucratic knots of the natural realm and release it straight into your hands. You will not revisit old circles of stalemate. The tired door you've knocked on repeatedly will creak no longer, because I'm installing a brand new passage that swings wide without resistance. Listen, there is a rumbling in the spirit that resembles a dam groaning under unstoppable pressure. The buildup of blessings, once hindered, is finding an exit, and when it erupts, there will be no gradual trickle, only a deafening cascade. I tell you plainly, hold nothing back from expectation. However much you've dared to hope, reality will still exceed it. The enemy's last tactic is to persuade you to doubt at the very edge of fulfillment, to coax you into stepping off the platform just as the train arrives. Refuse that sabotage. Keep your anticipation taut like a sail in full wind, because the breath of my promise is propelling you forward faster than logic can calculate. Do you sense the quickening around your spirit? It is not anxiety, it is acceleration. Documents arrive overnight, calls echo with immediate favor. Help materializes before the ink dries on your thoughts. Understand this. Every period of delay has prepared context. The withheld promotion taught wisdom. The stalled relationship carved compassion. The slow finances forged stewardship. The long illness birthed empathy. Now, when the blessing bursts, you will wear authority with humility, because the pruning raised your capacity. Therefore, gather your unfinished plans, dust off former sketches, and refine them, because what once felt premature will fit perfectly into this timetable I am unveiling. Make room on your calendar. Prepare an extra vessel. Rehearse gratitude aloud so your lips don't stumble when sudden abundance knocks. Tonight, as the earth turns, time itself bends in your direction. Clocks, contracts, and circumstances synchronize under my command, aligning to release destiny without obstruction. You will look back on this stretch of life and see it as the final bottleneck before open waters. Don't fear the unfamiliar pace. Swift forward motion is not chaos when I orchestrate it. Stay anchored by worship, guided by my whispers, and light on your feet. Momentum is about to carry you into halls you never toured and conversations you never scheduled. The ink sealing your old season is dry. The page flips at midnight. Keep your lamp trimmed, your ears tuned, and your heart supple. Delay is not merely ending. It is converting into a testament that will spark faith in many. Eyes have watched you endure postponement with grace. Now they will witness you receive the harvest with awe. So stand upright, inhaling courage and exhaling exhaustion. Shake the dust of delay from your shoulders, tighten your grip on the promise, and step to the edge of the platform. The whistle of my arrival is already cutting through the night air, and the doors are sliding open whether you feel ready or not. The breakdown of barricades. This very night, I am stepping into territories where you've been shut out, where human hands scribbled rejection across opportunities I authored, and where systems whispered never in defiance of what I've already declared as yours. You must understand that what has been barred by earthly reasoning is not immune to divine reversal. Those doors, rusted shut by years of denial and layered with discouragement, are about to yield to a force they cannot resist. I am not knocking, I am breaking through. My hand does not fumble with locks, for I don't require keys when I am the owner. You were told no by decision makers who never consulted me. You were overlooked by gatekeepers who couldn't see the anointing resting on your life. But I have waited for this exact hour, not because I was late, but because the weight of your preparation needed to match the magnitude of your assignment. Now the time has matured. I'm releasing a blow against the limitations placed on you, whether by people, policies, patterns, or spiritual principalities. This won't be a gentle push, it will be a dismantling. Every bolt will snap, every hinge will groan, and every resistance built against your movement will collapse under the weight of my authority. I do not operate by votes or opinions, I move by decree. What was held back through nepotism, bias, or spiritual interference is being exposed and overturned. The positions they said were filled will become vacant at my word. The roles they said you were unqualified for will suddenly require your exact skill set. Doors you didn't know existed will swing open as if they've been waiting for your footsteps. And hear this: what I open, no person, no enemy, no institution can close again. But understand that when I open it, you must walk through without hesitation. No second guessing, no apology for being chosen, no shrinking to make others comfortable. This breakthrough demands boldness. It demands the version of you that has grown in silence, strengthened in shadows, and learned how to believe even in barrenness. You are not barging in uninvited. You are walking into what has always been yours by divine assignment. I do not release access where purpose is missing. The reason this night is sacred is because it holds the moment where alignment meets permission. This is not about temporary gain, it's about permanent placement. And don't be surprised if the very ones who shut the door try to open it for you now. They'll sense the shift. They'll feel the wind change when my presence approaches, and while they may not understand it, they won't be able to stop it. So don't waste your breath explaining your arrival. Just show up clothed in obedience and dripping with my favor. I will cause the locks to disengage at the sound of your footsteps, because heaven has declared you ready. The waiting room is closing. The hallway is ending. The entrance is illuminated. Step across. This isn't a night to pace in hesitation. It's a night to move forward as the walls of resistance collapse behind you. You were never denied, only delayed until the doors could align with destiny. Now that I've removed every unauthorized seal, your movement will no longer be met with rejection, but with recognition. Keep your eyes fixed on me as you enter, and I will ensure that no weapon formed against your next step will prosper. Walk confidently, for you're not going through a door. You're stepping into fulfillment. Holy surgery. Listen closely, because this declaration carries immediate force. The hidden aches you absorbed without complaint, the private tears that traced unseen rivers on your pillow, the dull throb in your soul that never found a name. Every ounce of it is coming under my decisive intervention before darkness gives way to dawn. I have watched you push through crowded rooms with a practiced smile, while bruises bloomed beneath your courage. I've heard the prayers you whispered in half-finished sentences when words collapsed under the weight of weariness. I felt the tremor in your faith each time hope stretched thin across another day of unanswered why. Not one tremor escaped my notice, and tonight I enter as both relentless warrior and gentle physician, wielding a remedy that knows exactly where to land. I'm not offering superficial relief or temporary soothing. I am severing the root systems that fed your hurt, cauterizing internal fractures that medicine couldn't trace, and releasing an infusion of wholeness that will echo through every corner of your being. You will feel a warmth bloom from the inside out, not as a fleeting emotion, but as tangible evidence that restoration is advancing cell by cell, memory by memory, scar by scar. Understand this, Because your pain was layered, my healing is multidimensional. I will reach into the chambers of your mind, where replayed disappointments carved ruts of fear, and I will rewrite those mental loops with declarations of worth that silence dread forever. I will slip into the recesses of your heart, where betrayal erected stone barricades, and I will melt those walls with compassion's fire until trust is possible without the terror of repeat wounds. I will press my hand upon your physical body, commanding inflammation to recede, nerves to settle, and systems to realign with their original design so that strength surges where fatigue once reigned. And I will quiet the spiritual turbulence that kept you braced for loss, releasing a calm so profound that even memories of agony lose their sting. This is not mere alleviation. It is holy surgery performed in the theater of midnight. While heaven's lamp floods the room, angels stand as attendants, handing me instruments of light and peace, closing every incision with threads of joy. I am stitching purpose into places where sorrow emptied you, embedding endurance where weakness lived, weaving laughter into muscle fibers so deeply that future smiles rise unforced. Pay attention to your breathing tonight. You will notice it deepen, releasing tension you didn't realize you held. Pay attention to your thoughts. Bitterness will attempt to resurface, but it will find no foothold in the new atmosphere I'm creating. Pay attention to your environment. Relationships that cultivated hidden hurt will either transform under conviction or fade out of orbit. For I will no longer allow sources of pain unrestricted access to you. Hear me. Do not fear the empty spaces that form when I extract toxic ties. Vacancy is proof of cleansing, and I will promptly fill every cleared place with voices that affirm, protect, and propel you. This entire process is swift yet thorough, fierce yet tender. One moment, oppressive weight presses your chest. The next, you inhale unfiltered freedom. That sudden lightness is not imaginary. It's evidence of chains dissolving at a molecular level. You will wake tomorrow unable to locate certain burdens, searching for symptoms that simply cease to exist. Document the shift, because testimony forged from private deliverance will unlock courage in listeners drowning in similar secrecy. They will see scars turned into signposts and realize that if I could recalibrate your story in a single night, theirs is far from hopeless. Therefore, partner with me. Release grudges, forgive yourself for past missteps, and yield every hidden infection to the scalpel of my love. Hold nothing back. Concealment only prolongs agony, but exposure accelerates a cure. Tonight is not a negotiation, it is decisive liberation. The pain that threatened to define you has reached its expiration date, signed by the author of life. Stand still, breathe deep, feel me work, and prepare to step into a dawn where suffering is no longer your native language. Divine division. Hear me now, and do not let anything steal your concentration. The current of sorrow you thought would sweep you away is about to split open and reveal a dry passage straight into the promise. An event so swift and authoritative that it will leave even seasoned doubters breathless. The droplets that once dripped from your eyes in silence joined one another, forming torrents that seemed to mock your endurance. Yet I monitored every coursing stream, measuring its depth and charting its flow, allowing it to swell to the perfect pressure, so that in this precise instant I could issue the command: divide. That order is reverberating through the unseen realm right now, cracking the liquid wall before you, forcing oppression to retreat on either side, and carving an unmistakable corridor where impossibility must stand still while you walk through untouched. Do not call this poetic, call it prophetic. Because the moment the channel appears, you must move without delay. Leave behind any cargo of regret that might sink your steps. Hesitation would only invite the water to converge once more. I need your stride to be confident, your gaze locked forward, and your faith blazing like a torch held high so others stranded on the bank will see where deliverance opens. You have cried prayers nobody else understood, but those prayers soaked the ground beneath your feet until the earth could no longer absorb them, until heaven itself had to respond with a miracle mirrored after ancient wonders. This is that moment. Expect the unexpected crackle of purpose in the air, the hum of angelic activity forming a canopy above your path, the sudden hush that falls over adversaries stunned by what they cannot counter. Even the environment will testify, with phone calls pausing, notifications silencing, and winds stilling as creation cooperates with my directive. Step now, child. Step before second-guessing dilutes your courage. On the far side of this parted torrent awaits territory fertilized by the very tears that once threatened to drown you. There you will plant seeds of influence, harvest joy that overflows, and build monuments of gratitude, marking the place where grief transfigured into a gateway. Carry this urgency in your pulse. Every tick of time is an invitation to advance. Move quickly, sing softly, breathe deeply, and let the roar of the surrendering waters underscore your arrival into a landscape written by mercy. I am escorting you not from behind, but beside, ensuring not a single drop laps against you. The river will remain obedient until your heel leaves its bed. Then it will crash closed behind you, sealing your freedom and preventing yesterday's sorrow from stalking tomorrow's sunrise. Walk on, chosen one, for the corridor stands open, and the hour of crossing will not wait. Spiritual acceleration. Your muscles ache from unrelenting tasks. Eyelids droop beneath the relentless gravity of ordinary life, and your thoughts flutter towards surrender like spent birds seeking low branches. Yet I call your inner conviction to snap to attention, for a decisive moment is rolling towards you faster than any dawn you have ever counted. It is a moment that won't announce itself with trumpets or fireworks, but with a quiet shift so potent that only vigilant hearts will register its tremor. Picture a watchman posted on a fortress wall at midnight. Stone-cold air nips at his joints. The fields appear void of threat, and a drowsy fog tries to blur his gaze. If he lets exhaustion sedate him, invading forces slip through the darkness, and disaster unfolds before sunrise. I refuse to let such negligence sabotage your turning point. That is why I'm sending the surge of spiritual caffeine to your innermost place, snapping synapses of belief into sharp focus, flooding your perspective with holy adrenaline, and commanding your hope to lift its weary head and stand guard. Tell your fatigue that it has authority over limbs and nerve endings, but not over destiny. Inform discouragement that its license to stall you expires now. Ignite your expectation with deliberate worship. Give voice to grateful declarations that rattle complacency from its roost. Kindle every ember of promise by recounting the times I already intervened, so your memory becomes an arsenal of evidence against apathy. You need not manufacture frantic activity. Only posture yourself like a lamp trimmed and ready, wick shortened, oil replenished, and flame steady. I have seen many souls stumble at the threshold because lethargy convinced them fulfillment could wait until morning. They missed sudden doors appearing in hallway walls and whispers carrying coordinates for new territory. That will not be your story. I'm pouring resilience into your bloodstream, so palpably that you will feel a sudden lift in posture, a spark behind your eyes, a sonar ping deep within declaring, "Stay sharp." Everything shifts in minutes. Do not squander this alertness on trivial noise or scrolling distractions. Guard it. Channel it into prayer that slices through the haze, into strategic planning written with fresh ink, into silence where my next detail downloads like a blueprint onto your consciousness. Should drowsy vibes creep in again, shake them off with a single sentence of truth. My breakthrough breathes near, and I will not sleep on it. Align your environment. Dim unnecessary lights. Hush meaningless chatter. Gather tools you may need at the moment of instruction, because when I whisper move, hesitation must have no chair in the room. Remember Elijah outrunning chariots after rain first drummed on parched ground. His legs obeyed a surge born of faith, not fitness. A similar velocity will pulse through you, strength beyond logic, clarity beyond caffeine, compelling swift response when the unseen portal appears. Even if physical tiredness lingers, let your spirit behave like dawn birds bursting into melody long before sunlight proves morning is near. Their chorus welcomes a reality not yet visible. Likewise, your vigilance rehearses victory still shrouded in night. So breathe in this warning as invigorating wind. Eyelids may flutter, shoulders may slump, but conviction must remain at full alert. Keep watch. The exact tick of transformation is approaching with surgical precision, and only faith, wide-eyed and standing, will step onto the moving walkway of destiny the instant it manifests. Unlocking provision. Hear me without one heartbeat of hesitation. I have stockpiled a treasury of interventions, tailor-cut provisions, timely allies, career advances, and bursts of revelation that hover above your life like ripened fruit, waiting for the slightest signal of awakened perception to descend. They cannot be delivered into inattentive hands, nor can they be recognized by eyes glazed with distraction, because each gift carries instructions invisible to casual observers. Imagine coded packages parachuting through twilight. Their guidance messages flicker only under the ultraviolet beam of focused faith. If your inner lens remains fogged by complacency, the parcels will touch ground unnoticed and dissolve, returning to my vault until sobriety returns. So I'm sounding this clarion. Tune your inner antenna. Elevate your spiritual frequency. Sharpen every receptor by muting the static of mindless chatter, turning down the volume of self-doubt, and silencing the pop-up ads of fear. Fast from scrolling that leaves no residue of purpose. Feast on promises that throb with life. Let worship stretch your senses until common surroundings start humming with holy potential. You've asked for a financial strategy. An idea weighted with generational impact hovers inches above your imagination. But it will only drop when your discernment glints like a freshly honed blade. You've pleaded for relational restoration. A conversation script crafted by heaven's linguists is fluttering near your tongue, yet it requires an ear attuned to my pauses and emphasis so every syllable lands with surgical grace. You've craved clarity about your calling. Blueprints etched in light are already unfurled, but they glow only when humility wipes dust from your motives. Do not shrug and say, "Perhaps another season." These blessings ride on time-sensitive currents. If you blink spiritually, they bypass and bless another who stayed vigil. Picture Jacob wrestling till dawn to clutch his transformative benediction. You must grapple with similar resolve, refusing to release your watchfulness until you feel the weight of a promise settle. Keep a journal by your pillow. I may whisper coordinates between sleep cycles. Place a voice memo app on your home screen. Mid-commute nudges could sketch the opening lines of books, patents, or foundations meant to funnel resources into kingdom work. Guard your conversation circles. Cynical banter corrodes antennas faster than rust. When alertness becomes a lifestyle rather than an emergency posture, blessings land like steady rain, soaking soil until dormant seeds rupture with life. You will notice serendipitous meetings that make too much sense to be coincidence. Emails arriving minutes after whispered petitions, and solutions sprinting toward problems before panic even forms. Skeptics will call you lucky. You will know you were simply awake. Yet I must anchor this warning inside the promise. Unclaimed blessings eventually reroute. Windows in the spirit don't stay propped open forever. They swing on hinges of kairos, the appointed moment, and then they close to await another cycle. Therefore, walk through your days with eyebrows lifted in expectation, a pulse quickened by possibility, and a spirit tilted toward my slightest nudge. If I tell you to change lanes while driving, obey. There may be a divine appointment at the next traffic light. If I prompt you to reread a familiar passage, do it. Your next invention may hide between its letters. Cultivate micro-obediences. They are practice drills for large-scale pivot points, and celebrate each arrival. Act no matter how small, for gratitude is a magnet that pulls additional parcels from the invisible conveyor belt. I have prepared these blessings not to decorate your life with trinkets, but to outfit you for exploits requiring resources beyond human reach. They are both love letters and logistical kits, proof of my affection and fuel for your assignment. Stay alert, beloved. The air around you is thick with descending favor, and only a vigilant soul can stretch out its hands at the exact second the parachutes touch ground. Consecrating your dwelling, while the world sleeps, unaware of what moves through their walls and echoes between their ceilings, I am stepping across the threshold of your dwelling with intentionality and holy purpose. Not one creak beneath my feet is random. I am not a visitor. I am the rightful owner of every surrendered inch. And tonight, I move through it not to observe, but to claim. I walk softly yet with unmatched authority. And as I pass through each space, each room, each corner, each drawer, each atmosphere, I identify what has been entrusted to me and what remains unyielded. My gaze doesn't skim surfaces. I examine atmospheres, the tone of unspoken conversations, the residue of old arguments still clinging to doorframes. I sense what lingers unseen, what energy you've allowed to fester through repeated compromise or fear. This is not condemnation. It is inspection. I walk with mercy in one hand and cleansing in the other, and I am marking what bears the scent of obedience, what is wrapped in worship, what has been kept open to me even when others walked away. I place my seal on your children's rooms, not based on their current decisions, but because of the petitions you've whispered over them in the midnight hush. I anoint the spaces where you've prayed with trembling lips, where you've warred in silence while others mocked your faith. Even the chair where you sat alone and wept becomes holy ground when I pass by it tonight. I place invisible identifiers on items you've dedicated to kingdom work. Laptops used to write words of life, phones used to encourage, pens used to journal your surrender. And equally, I confront what still occupies rooms that belong to me. Objects you've kept for nostalgia, but not purpose. Alliances you entertain out of fear of loneliness. Permissions you granted to darkness through entertainment or apathy. As I walk, I call to those things by name. If they are mine, they stay. If they are not, they tremble. Some will break without warning. Others will go missing by morning. Some relationships will feel a sudden discomfort. Do not panic. It is not punishment. It is purification. I will not share territory that should be fully consecrated. What I bless, I must also secure. So I apply coverings over your doors tonight. Not just wooden frames, but spiritual gates, digital entrances, emotional access points where vulnerability once allowed torment. I now install reinforcement. You may feel a sudden peace settle without knowing why. It is my presence completing the sweep. I'm placing my fingerprint on mirrors to shift the way you see yourself. I'm touching thermostats that regulate more than temperature. They influence your mood. I'm saturating closets where shame used to dress you and replacing old garments with an identity forged in truth. Even your sleep is being reset as I pass. Cycles rebalanced, dreams detoxed from anxiety, visions restored. This is not ordinary, this is consecration. This is what happens when a home becomes a sanctuary. And as I finish the walk, I do not exit, I remain. I dwell, I inhabit. I shift from guest to host. This is not just a visit, it's a takeover wrapped in tenderness. So do not be surprised if you wake feeling different, if you sense lightness where heaviness once lived, if you find tears on your pillow without a memory of pain. It is the mark of a place that has been walked through by the King. From this night forward, your house is not just a structure, it is a beacon. It is a dwelling place of glory. It is under my claim, and nothing opposing that claim will be allowed to remain. A thorough extraction. Feel the air changing, even as these words settle in your spirit. For I have initiated a decisive extraction, one that targets attachments formed in nights of fear, habits born of wounded instincts, and agreements you signed beneath the fog of insecurity. An extraction so thorough that echoes of the past will no longer trail behind your steps like stubborn shadows. This is not a polite decluttering or a gentle suggestion to tidy up. It is a strategic disengagement orchestrated from my throne, designed to detach opinions that shrink your capacity, narratives that undermine your courage, and patterns that repeatedly usher you to the brink of breakthrough, only to yank you backward. I am sending skilled heavenly agents, precision specialists in separation who know exactly how to unwind cords twisted around your identity without lacerating the tender parts of your heart. Some cords look harmless because they wear the camouflage of nostalgia, yet they siphon vitality with every sentimental glance. Others advertise themselves as responsible caution, but immobilize you beneath perpetual overthinking. All of them have been weighed against the blueprint of where I am directing you, and they do not qualify for entry. As this removal unfolds, you may notice a sudden disinterest in conversations that once captivated you, clothing that feels foreign on your skin, ambitions that no longer sparkle, and digital feeds that drain energy instead of sparking inspiration. Do not resist this holy dislodging. Cooperation accelerates healing, but clinging stretches pain. I will not dismantle anything essential. I am, however, dismantling false safety nets, those social circles stitched together by mutual complaint, that workspace sustained only by fear of change, that secret purchase habit filling loneliness with momentary dopamine. Expect the unexpected, a phone number erased from your memory, a a website that mysteriously logs you out, a canceled event averting entanglement, an opportunity that evaporates before your pride can chase it. Celebrate each subtraction as proof that forward motion is underway. Know this, beloved. Every relinquishment, whether dramatic or subtle, creates internal real estate for fresh strategy, renewed creativity, and bold alliances calibrated to the rhythm of your next assignment. I have no intention of marching you into future battles still dragging yesterday's broken armor. Clanging relics of prior defeats would reveal your position and tire your limbs. Instead, I am fitting you for lightweight resilience, aerodynamic wisdom, and a streamlined vision. You will move faster, think clearer, and love harder because encumbrances have been lifted by grace rather than ripped by crisis. Yet be prepared. Some people will misread your newfound lightness as arrogance. They will misinterpret your silence as offense because they thrived on access to an unguarded version of you. Bless them, release them, and keep traveling. Their interpretation is not your incarceration. I am your vindication, and fruit will testify louder than explanation ever could. Your responsibility is simply to remain pliable, allowing my hands to loosen what clings and tighten what anchors. Even as I prune, I simultaneously graft, introducing friendships seasoned with integrity, mentors fluent in the language of destiny, and doorways framed by favors so substantial that their threshold alone radiates possibility. You will wake to mornings where breathing feels like prophecy, where light filters through curtains and announces that nothing heavy hitched a ride into today. Take those mornings as invitations to risk again, dream again, and build again. And if grief flickers at the loss of familiar weight, let tears fall briefly. Then lift your eyes, for on the horizon glimmers a realm where capacity, joy, and influence flourish, absent of chains. Tonight marks the irreversible initiation of that realm. Keep pace with me. Trust that the hands that separate also secure. Walk forward, lighter, louder in purpose, liberated from relics that never earned permanence. This is extraction turned elevation, subtraction yielding multiplication, goodbye paving the way for a glorious beginning. Welcome to a territory where only what aligns with your destiny is allowed to remain. Divine untangling. This is the hour where I am gently but firmly unwrapping your fingers from what you've grown attached to, not because I want to deprive you, but because I can see what it's been costing you in silence. There are patterns you've come to depend on, not out of purpose, but because they made survival feel predictable. You've leaned on conversations that left you hollow, routines that numbed your discernment, and environments that dulled your boldness. They gave the illusion of comfort, but in reality, they have become silent leeches of your spiritual vitality. You feel exhausted, not always because you are overworked, but because you're entangled in things that consume more than they contribute. These are not the obvious threats you can easily identify. These are the quiet compromises that blend into your normal, disguised as harmless or necessary. But I see the invisible drain, and I love you too much to let it continue unnoticed. I'm exposing what's beneath the surface. The motives behind certain connections, the subtle emotional contracts you signed without clarity, the decisions you've postponed for fear of disrupting peace. Tonight, I bring my light into those dim corners. It's not to shame you. It's to set you free from hidden fatigue. I'm showing you how strength has been leaking, not just through actions, but through attention. What you stare at, what you replay in your mind, what you accommodate without question. These are the drains I'm addressing now. I want you focused for the season ahead, not frantically patching up internal holes while trying to hold on to yesterday's version of yourself. Let me help you release what you thought you needed, but has only kept you from stepping fully into what's next. You've outgrown these things, not because you're better than them, but because your spirit is expanding and the old wineskins are beginning to crack. Yes, it will feel unfamiliar. Yes, it may feel like a loss at first, but what I'm removing isn't essential. It's excess. You'll find that the peace you've prayed for is waiting on the other side of relinquishing what no longer belongs. That heavy feeling you carry isn't always from the weight of warfare. It's sometimes from clinging to what was only meant to accompany you for a short stretch. Relationships, rhythms, even certain internal narratives you've believed about yourself are all up for review now. Some I will redeem and reshape. Others I will strip away completely. But in every case, it will result in your freedom. As I begin this untangling, stay close to me. Don't rush back to what I've unseated just because it feels awkward to walk without it. You were not created to depend on crutches. You were made to soar. And for you to fly, your wings must be free of unnecessary weight. I know how much you've given. I know the effort it's taken to keep everything together. But part of the reason you've been running on empty is because you've kept refueling systems that never poured back into you. Tonight is a declaration from heaven that this cycle ends. The soul leak stops. The unnoticed drain is closed. I am issuing divine clarity that will help you identify the subtle takers in your life, the ones that come dressed in friendship but operate in fear. The routines that bring structure but suppress innovation, the tasks that appear noble but were never assigned by me. You are entering a stretch that requires you to be light, unburdened, and sharply aware. So loosen your grip, child. I know what you think you're losing, but I see what you're about to gain, and it's not equal. It's greater. Let the pruning feel like permission to breathe. Let the subtraction feel like grace. You are not being emptied. You are being prepared for overflow. Holy excavation. Understand this sacred exchange. Every possession, position, or perception slipping from your grasp in these hours is not a cruel reduction, but an intentional excavation carved out by my own hand so that the concealed petitions of your heart can finally take tangible shape. You remember those hushed requests uttered beneath blankets of anxiety, scribbled in journals nobody opens, breathed like vapor during rushed commutes, requests you almost forgot because disappointment convinced you they were too extravagant to live outside imagination. I heard every syllable. I cataloged each longing. Yet I also recognized that certain crowded corners of your life left no vacancy for fulfillment to unfold. Imagine a master builder arriving at an overstuffed lot where an elegant palace must rise. The first sound is not of marble being set, but of demolition clearing unsafe structures. Likewise, this evening's removals are the controlled implosions preceding construction. Some departures will appear abrupt, a familiar routine halted, a phone connection suddenly silent, an opportunity withdrawn at the 11th hour. Do not mislabel such exits as punishment or misfortune. View them instead as an architectural necessity. For I am tearing down walls whose foundations were mixed with insecurity, so that blueprints drafted in heaven can be anchored without fracture. And note the timing. Darkness covers these operations, so spectators cannot interfere with commentary that would tempt you to rebuild what I dismantle. In the hush of the night, I pull up root systems entwined around outdated definitions of success, shaking off clumps of soil where embarrassment clings. You may sense a hollowness, as though rooms inside your soul echo with new emptiness. But that acoustics only prove the space is open. Into that volume, I will pour unannounced answers, partnerships that speak your true language, strategies aligned with kingdom momentum, and streams of provision tailored to dreams you dared not utter aloud. Make no mistake, this incoming inventory does not squeeze into leftover nooks. It requires square footage cleared by tonight's surrender. Therefore, resist the impulse to chase after what is leaving. If a job closes, bless it on its way out and set a chair for the next assignment already walking up your path. If a friendship fades, release it with gratitude and ready a conversation for allies who will champion your divine destiny rather than comfort stale versions of you. If a mindset crumbles, step over its dust without nostalgia. For wisdom freshly poured stands ready to frame your thoughts. Feel the air in your chest lengthen. That expanded inhale is a prophecy of increasing capacity. And do you notice how grief, though present, carries a strange undercurrent of anticipation? That is hope sprouting in soil enriched by surrendered relics. I promise you will look back on this night and realize that nothing truly valuable was confiscated. Only placeholders, only illusions, only training wheels too small for the velocity ahead. Keep your hands open, palms upward, signifying both release and reception. Speak aloud, not to convince me, but to convince doubt that you are ready for answers long queued in the corridors of heaven. Open cupboards, clear calendars, and detox digital feeds. Act in faith by arranging your environment for a blessing's arrival even before proof steps through the door. Remember, the speed at which new provision occupies that space corresponds to the willingness with which you relinquish outdated cargo. You are not suffering loss. You are exchanging cramped survival for expansive flourishing. Let the process continue unhindered. Tears may fall, but watch how quickly they are replaced by praise when first glimpses of hidden prayers manifest. This is holy economics. Yield one temporary comfort, gain a warehouse of eternal significance. Tonight's letting go is tomorrow's overflow concealed in seed form, and the soil is finally ready. Traps disarmed. Hear me with deliberate calm, for an operation is underway even as you inhale, an extraction of booby-trapped moments, conversations, and choices that seemed harmless on the surface but were engineered beneath layers of coincidence to detonate just as dawn peels back the edge of a brand new cycle. You were never meant to stumble into explosions disguised as opportunities. Yet, unseen adversaries have woven trigger wires through your schedule, an offhand text meant to reignite toxic history, a meeting placed on the calendar to tempt you into compromise, a financial blessing concealing contractual shackles, even a casual scroll past a headline designed to hijack your focus for days. I have traced every fuse to its source and noted every timing device, and tonight I surgically remove them before a single spark can leap. Picture a sapper moving through a shadowed battlefield, steady hands, silent breath, swift confidence. That is how I navigate your timeline now, lifting thin filaments of danger away from your feet and clipping detonation cords millimeters from derailing your destiny. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Some alarms you will notice. A sudden check in your spirit when an alluring offer arrives. A missed call from a person whose influence used to cloud your discernment. A website refusing to load when curiosity might have lured you into comparison. Others you will never perceive. You will simply pass unscathed through hours that would have erupted into crisis had I not intervened. Do not attribute this to luck. Whisper thank yous under your breath when traffic slows without explanation, when an email bounces back, or when rain forces a change in route. Each inconvenience could be my redirection, protecting your momentum. Be prepared for mild disappointment when plans cancel last minute, but also for a strange sense of relief echoing underneath the frustration. That echo is confirmation that explosive potential has been neutralized. And know this, traps often rely on familiar bait, so I'm recalibrating your appetites. Cravings that once tugged you toward damaging places will lose their flavor. You may find certain conversations suddenly feel stale, certain media drains rather than entertains, certain invitations ring hollow. Do not mourn the appetite shift. Celebrate it as insulation against sabotage. Meanwhile, I am installing new tripwires of grace that alert you before compromise enters the room. A nudge in your gut, a phrase from scripture looping in your mind, a friend unexpectedly checking in. Heed these signals. They are sensors that keep you housed within safe corridors while forward motion accelerates. Understand, beloved, that separation is not isolation. It is insulation paired with redirection. As traps are dismantled, pathways of favor slide into their place. Deals appear that align with your values, mentors emerge who sharpen rather than siphon, and timing synchronizes so precisely you will marvel at calendars once cluttered with snares now brimming with streamlined purpose. And because I believe in redundancy when safeguarding my own, I station sentinels, angels attuned to the subtlest vibrations of threat along your perimeter. They will flash warnings in dreams, stir lyrics that snap you awake, or orchestrate overheard conversations that reveal ulterior motives. Your responsibility is simple. Respond promptly. The longer you linger at the edge of a disabled snare, the easier it is for discouragement to draft blueprints for the next one. Move forward at the speed of obedience, trusting that every obstacle removed creates a runway for lift. Yes, some relationships may bristle when boundaries tighten. Some ventures may label your refusal as arrogance. Bless and proceed. The alternative is to step willingly into pits cleverly disguised as platforms. I rescued you from that storyline. Walk on with your shoulders back, knowing traps uprooted equate to days redeemed, peace preserved, and influence safeguarded. By the time the sun rises, you will stride into a dawn devoid of landmines, your soul light, your vision unblurred, and your momentum unreduced by explosions that never got the chance to roar. Shredding fear's script. He has slithered close to your ear with rehearsed monologues of doom, tapping on yesterday's disappointments as if they were evidence that tomorrow will collapse. He hisses that your economy, your diagnosis, and your relationship fractures will merge into an avalanche too heavy to outrun. But I expose his script under blazing light and shred every lie before it can take root. Hear me. Intimidation relies on dim corridors of imagination where worst-case scenarios multiply unchecked. So I am flooding those mental hallways with truth so radiant that shadows have nowhere to cling. The adversary counted on you, replaying what if until your pulse quickened and your resolve thinned. Instead, I'm amplifying memories of past deliverances, stacking them like thunder over his faint murmurs until anxiety's frequency is drowned in the roar of my record. He banked on statistical curves, family history charts, and headlines painted in dread, yet forgot one immutable fact. My word is not subject to probability. Before fear ever formed a syllable, I wrote outcomes that trump percentages. I do not consult market forecasts when planning your provision, nor medical prognoses when scripting your recovery, nor political climates when charting your purpose. Tonight, I stand between you and every echo of dread, functioning as both firewall and megaphone. The firewall blocks the fiery darts of suggestion that say your goals will implode. The megaphone declares that destiny secured by covenant cannot be hijacked by chatter from the pit. As you breathe now, angels unfurl banners over your sleeping space that read, "Fear fails here." Watch how nightmares lose traction, how midnight mind races stall, and how that sudden jolt of foreboding dissolves like mist under the sunrise. I am not providing temporary comfort. I am issuing a permanent restraining order against terror's access to your imagination. You will still hear faint noises, corrupted memories, or banging pots one room away, but they will remain powerless. Courage will rise like steel inside your marrow each time the enemy tries another angle. And let me be blunt, his strategy has always been volume, not substance. He bellows tragedies that haven't happened, banking on sheer repetition to masquerade as evidence. Tonight, I cut the speaker wires. Think of it. Silence where static once thrived. In that quiet, you will notice new sounds, creative ideas tapping, partnerships humming, and opportunities rustling like leaves in a fresh wind. They were there all along, muted behind fear's clamor. Now clarity has room to resonate. Consequently, decisions you postponed because caution felt wise will crystallize quickly. You will step forward while voices of delay still scramble to regroup. When the enemy realizes his intimidation failed, he may attempt guilt. You shouldn't feel this calm, you're ignoring reality. But peace is not ignorance, it is awareness of a superior reality. I reign. Therefore, final outcomes bow. Hold that banner high. If flashbacks of failure creep in, treat them as counterfeit, reject them and move on. Keep dialogue with me open. Even a 2-word prayer, "Help Jesus," detonates power that scatters fear like startled birds. And when daylight returns, you will notice something subtle yet monumental. You are not merely free from last night's dread. You are armored against future campaigns. Once you learn the difference between prophetic warning and demonic alarm, discernment becomes your perimeter. This is that lesson etched under starlight. I close with an assignment. Speak life aloud as you prepare for rest. Declare provision over your finances, restoration over your health, and expansion over your calling. Each declaration seals another breach fear once exploited. The enemy cannot occupy ground filled with praise, so fill every inch. By dawn, confidence will settle like dew on your spirit, and you will march into tasks with shoulders no longer hunched beneath imaginary storms. You tried to win this night. Instead, you gained territory. Hold it, guard it, advance. The sphere of influence you were destined for forfeited its campaign before it began. The covenant of protection. Understand the gravity of this arrangement. Celestial sentinels, shimmering with purpose, now take their posts along every avenue of your journey. Doorways, hallways, highways, inboxes, conference rooms, even the invisible corridors of thought. Yet their protective radius remains most potent when you move in rhythm with the cadence of my instruction. Imagine a convoy escorting a dignitary through hostile terrain. As long as the vehicle keeps to the predetermined route, the guard detail forms an impenetrable shield, intercepting ambushes before they reach the windows. Veer off-road into curiosity or compromise, however, and the convoy must scramble, losing crucial seconds. So it is in the spirit. Your guardians operate by coordinates downloaded from my heart. Stay synced, and you will glide in a pocket of supernatural security so thick that fiery arrows fizzle on contact. Drift into self-fashioned agendas, and gaps emerge where doubt, delay, or deception may slip through. The urgency of this night demands precision, not improvisation. Treat every prompting, whether a sudden check, a quiet nudge, or scripture streaking across your memory, as a waypoint. When I whisper pause, halt, even if momentum screams run. When I urge speak, release words saturated with grace, though silence feels safer. When I say detach, walk away, while logic still tallies pros and cons. Your obedience is not mere compliance, it is activation. At the instant you comply, angels rearrange their formation, knitting new layers of defense around the unfolding path, routing unforeseen hazards into harmless distance. Do not picture fragile cherubs. Envision seasoned warriors, eyes like molten bronze, blades alive with a light that cleaves spiritual obstruction before you even detect its shadow. They shift weather, stall traffic, route malware, and elude gossip, all while you sip coffee, unaware of near collisions averted. Yet there is a caveat. Their authority to intervene hinges on the legal jurisdiction my voice establishes. Ignore repeated guidance, and you inadvertently sign a waiver restricting their range. Therefore, cultivate minute-by-minute sensitivity. Keep inner antennas raised by letting worship undercurrent every chore. Maintain silent dialogue while folding laundry, drafting emails, or crossing intersections. Treat your conscience like a sacred instrument calibrated to catch the faintest frequency of heaven. If static creeps in through fatigue or frustration, detox quickly, breathe, recite a promise, and realign. Think of airline pilots who continuously adjust course by tiny degrees. 1 degree off, sustained over hours, lands a plane in the wrong nation. Likewise, a single neglected prompting, if repeated, drifts your destiny off course. You might worry, what if I miss a cue? Remember, grace covers honest missteps. My spirit reroutes, and angels reposition. What jeopardizes your protection isn't accidental oversight, but deliberate rebellion persisting after internal red lights flash. Choose submission, and you will sense a holy hush settling around decisions. That hush is confirmation of alignment. Even mundane errands will glow with assurance, parking spaces opening at just the right moment, cashier lines shifting so you meet the very person carrying your next puzzle piece, and nighttime dreams layering blueprints onto your subconscious. Conversely, when you feel agitation, hindrance, or heaviness, treat it as early warning radar. Pause, inquire, and adjust. The margin between safety and struggle often lies in those brief consultations. Tonight, as angels assemble, announce your agreement aloud. Commander of hosts, I consent to your course. Such a confession seals borders the enemy cannot breach. From that posture, you will witness a phenomenon rarely recognized in real time: divine choreography. Emails land precisely when patience peaks. Delays spare you from unseen congestion. Spontaneous generosity counters unseen financial sabotage. People observing will call it coincidence. You will know it as escort, proof that guardians respond to every syllable of heaven's GPS. So hold the line. Resist the urge to sprint ahead of clear authority, or lag behind out of timidity. Pace yourself to my breathing, and the angelic perimeter will remain airtight, guiding you through minefields you never knew existed, toward appointments you could never have orchestrated. Your role is simple. Remain tuned. Stay pliable. Keep stride. The moment alignment fractures, recalibrate instantly. Whisper my name. Yield your will. Step back into the column of light where warriors stand ready. Under that brilliance, opposition withers, and you march unscathed into chapters previously barred by fear. This is the covenant of protection ignited tonight. Angels deployed, destiny safeguarded, contingent upon one essential commitment: attentive, unwavering alignment with my ever-living voice. The path without a map. You are standing on the edge of something that cannot be previewed, rehearsed, or pieced together through logic. I know that makes your heart pound faster than usual. I see your eyes darting for clues, your mind attempting to predict, calculate, and protect. But the path I'm laying before you doesn't come with a map, only a lamp. One step at a time, child. That's all I'm asking. Not the whole picture, not the entire story, just your hand in mine as we walk together into a future designed by divinity and revealed only through obedience. This night is a classroom without walls. There will be no test papers or audible questions, only moments where you must decide whether to lean on what feels familiar or to lean on me. And the longer you hesitate, the louder fear will try to fill in the blanks with worst-case scenarios that look like wisdom but smell of worry. Don't let uncertainty steal what faith is meant to carry. I am asking you to follow, not because the road looks clear, but because my voice leads the way. Your spiritual muscles grow strongest when visibility is lowest. Faith doesn't require clarity. It thrives in mystery. Remember, child, trust isn't trust if it only activates when you feel safe. True trust is forged when you step forward before the next stone appears under your feet. I'm not asking you to walk blind. I'm asking you to walk with vision. Vision birthed from intimacy, not from data. This is the place where your questions won't be answered in advance, but your soul will still be steadied in my presence. I've seen your prayers for direction, but tonight I'm giving you something better than answers. I'm giving you alignment. If I told you everything now, your faith would anchor in the plan instead of me. And if plans shift, your stability would shatter. So instead, I'm becoming your compass. Let my peace confirm when you're heading true north. Let my whisper become louder than your doubts. Don't worry about missing it if your heart stays humble. I will course correct you even if you veer. Trust isn't just belief, it's movement, an act of assurance. And tonight, this movement matters more than understanding. You've been taught to gather the facts before making the jump, but I'm asking you to leap while holding on to nothing but my voice. This doesn't mean recklessness, it means surrender, the kind of surrender that scares your flesh but sets your spirit free. I know it's difficult. I know you've been burned before, but I'm not leading you into disaster. I'm leading you into destiny. Sometimes I allow the plan to remain hidden because I want your ear, not your expertise. I want you close, not just compliant. I want relationship, not ritual. So when the discomfort of not knowing rises like a wave, let your praise rise higher. When fear suggests delay, let your faith pull you forward. You won't always feel confident, but you can be certain. I never mislead those who follow with yielded hearts. And though tonight won't give you all the answers, it will establish something far more powerful. Dependence. Not on yourself, not on your resources, but on me alone. Every time you say yes without full explanation, You break the lie that safety comes from control. You make room for miracles. You give permission for my hand to move freely. So don't resent the fog. Walk through it. Don't demand guarantees. Walk with grace. The wilderness between promise and possession is where your confidence in me is refined. And by the time daylight returns, you will find that not only did I bring you through it, I grew you through it. The faith you forge tonight will become the foundation that steadies you in future storms. You'll look back not with regret, but with awe, realizing this was the night you didn't need the full plan because you finally trusted the one who wrote it. The divine courier picture a royal courier blazing across invisible highways, clutching a scroll bearing a solution sculpted precisely for your circumstance. He rides unstoppable, outrunning doubt, outrunning delay, determined to deposit a breakthrough at your doorstep before the minute hand completes another revolution. The dispatch is not in production. It was sealed and stamped the instant your desperate whisper pierced the ceiling weeks, perhaps months ago. While you suspected silence, heaven was buzzing, forging exact remedies, aligning earthly resources, scripting unlikely introductions, and calibrating timing so perfect that even a single sigh of impatience could not accelerate or hinder its arrival. Now the delivery is seconds away. Yet one factor remains outside my jurisdiction: the receptivity of your core. A battle-weary spirit cannot receive parcels of promise. Bitterness, cynicism, and chronic self-doubt. These form double bolts across the mail slot, forcing destiny to circle until vacancy appears. Therefore, tonight, conduct a swift but thorough inventory of your interior climate. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. Survey attitudes lurking in dim corners, resentments disguised as caution, jealousies masquerading as discernment, low expectations parading as realism. Each one is a steel plate over the entryway. I urge you, lift them off and lay them at my feet. Replace them with expectation, gratitude, and willingness. These are the hinges upon which revelation swings wide. Think of your heart as fertile acreage. The answer I dispatch is a viable seed, but hardened ground repels germination. Break the clods with worship. Saturate the soil with fresh forgiveness. Clear the stones of offense so that roots find depth, not resistance. Remember, too, that receiving is an act of posture. Be sharp for unconventional packaging. Occasionally, my provision resembles inconvenience at first glance, an unexpected transfer, a canceled engagement, a sudden nudge to relocate. If prejudice toward familiar formats dominates, you'll overlook a treasure disguised as a detour. Train your perception to ask, what if this twist hides what I've been asking for? That single question unlocks gates that iron skepticism would have kept shut. Also remain alert to miniature confirmations. A phrase overheard on public transport, a pattern recurring in scripture, a dream that lingers through breakfast. Each may be a breadcrumb marking the descent path of your answer. Collect them with care. Together, they map out landing coordinates. Do not fear missing the moment. Fear indifference. Indifference blinds quicker than ignorance. Cultivate eager attentiveness, and the divine courier will find you every time, even if circumstances attempt camouflage. And know, too, that reception births stewardship. The message arriving includes instructions, not merely comfort. Be prepared to act rapidly. Reconfigure budgets. Accept new assignments. Initiate reconciliations. Whatever the scroll demands, A delay after delivery risks erosion of momentum. I am gifting more than relief. I am injecting catalytic impetus meant to propel you far beyond survival into influential orbit. So stretch your capacity in advance. Draft outline plans. Gather necessary tools. Organize schedules. These are faith actions signaling that the airstrip is clear. Even now, you might feel a tingling, an anticipation signal that your spiritual radar has locked onto the incoming promise. Hold that anticipation. It is magnetic, pulling manifestation closer. Speak it aloud, share it with trusted allies. Let praise echo so loudly within that doubt cannot reclaim acoustic space. And should a final wave of skepticism swell, silence it by recounting prior impossibilities already overturned. Evidence fuels expectancy. Expectancy widens reception. And wide reception hastens the courier's descent. The answer is en route. Keep your interior doors flung open, lamps burning, and tables set, for the knock will sound sooner than logic predicts. When it arrives, embrace it without analyzing corners. Obey without procrastination, and watch how swiftly next directives assemble, because the rhythm of a breakthrough is cascading, and the subsequent heartbeat of instruction is already pressing through the veil. The cultivation of stillness. Every second, there are layers of sound competing for your focus. Notifications, opinions, unfinished conversations, imaginary scenarios looping inside your mind. The external chaos may seem distant, but the internal volume it produces can be deafening if left unchecked. And tonight, more than ever, I am urging you to cultivate stillness, not just in body, but in spirit. Stillness is not an activity. It's intentional positioning. It's the act of silencing the unnecessary so you can hear what is essential. Your soul has been crowded with inputs from devices, echoes of unresolved conflicts, and social noise masquerading as urgency. They create a haze that clouds discernment, and in this moment, clarity is not optional. It is vital. The next whisper from me won't be a shout. It will be a barely perceptible current of direction that only lands in spaces where rest has been restored. You've been asking for answers, for confirmation, for instructions, but you're checking every voice but mine. The counsel I'm giving doesn't scream, it settles. It doesn't compete, it waits. But I won't wait forever. If you continue chasing noise, the sacred will be drowned by the predictable. So I am calling you now to come away, not in distance, but in attention. Quiet the commentary in your mind. Withdraw from digital impulses, pulling your energy in 10 different directions. Let go of rehearsing what didn't happen and worrying about what might. I need space in you to speak, to stir, to implant new insights that only grow in the soil of stillness. It is in the quiet that I reveal the blueprint. You will miss nothing by stepping away for a moment of silence, but you will miss everything if you remain plugged into what the world calls urgent and ignore what eternity calls now. Stillness is your shield tonight. The enemy knows he can't destroy you upright, so he tries to keep you busy, distracted with good things, overwhelmed by too many choices, or paralyzed by the opinions of others. But stillness reclaims your vision. It clears your ears. It straightens the posture of your inner life. That's where I am tonight, in the place behind the noise, the place you only reach when you stop rehearsing, stop reacting, and simply rest in the fact that I am sovereign. What I have for you will not be delayed by your silence. In fact, it will only become visible when you become still enough to perceive it. Take note of what stirs your anxiety when you try to slow down. That's often the very area I want to speak into. When you feel uncomfortable in stillness, it's not because something's wrong. It's because your spirit is adjusting to a frequency it forgot existed. Let me recalibrate your senses. Let me tune your ears to my tone, not the static of culture. Turn down the volume of performance. Turn off the loops of comparison. Let your mind breathe again. You weren't created to live in a constant reaction to noise. You were designed to be rooted in me, where the loudest sound is peace and the clearest signal is purpose. And no, stillness won't fix everything instantly, but it will restore your strength, and that strength will carry you through what clarity alone cannot. Do not measure the success of stillness by what you feel immediately, but by what you begin to perceive over time. Stillness is not about detachment, it's about alignment. It brings you back to me. And from that place, you can hear again, see again, and believe again. What you need most is not another opinion. It's presence. My presence, available right now. Not after the deadline. Not after the scrolling ends. Not when everyone else goes to sleep. Right now, while the world still spins and everything begs for your gaze, I am standing here asking for your heart. Even 5 minutes of stillness with me will do more for your future than 5 hours of restless striving. Come sit with me. Let every fear fall silent. Let every worry fade into the background. I am not found in the chaos. I am found in the calm. Be still and let me show you what's been waiting on the other side of the noise. Surrender the blueprint. You've spent so much time trying to predict what I'm going to do next, calculating scenarios, rehearsing conversations in your mind, and building backup plans in case what you're hoping for doesn't happen the way you imagined. But hear me now. Surrender the blueprint. Lay it down. Tear it up if you have to, because your need to micromanage the details is creating a barrier between you and the beauty of what I'm constructing behind the scenes. I never asked you to design the outcome. I only asked you to trust me with the process. Your need for control is born out of past disappointments and unyielded moments where what you wanted didn't happen. And now you think the only way to stay safe is to anticipate everything. But faith is not a forecast, it's a posture. Faith does not depend on knowing what's next, it depends on knowing who's leading. And I'm not following your plan, I'm fulfilling mine. Let's be honest. Deep down, part of you fears that if you let go of steering, everything will fall apart. But what you don't see is that your grip on the wheel is what's keeping the car from making the necessary turns. I see what's around the corner. I know what's 2 miles ahead, what's sitting behind the next decision. What waits beyond that deadline you've been dreading. And I also know what doors need to close. Doors you're still trying to pry open so that you don't walk into something that looks like a blessing, but is really a trap wrapped in temporary ease. What's forming in your life won't come in a familiar shape. It may not look like the version you've pictured. The route may twist through terrain you never intended to walk, and the people you thought would be part of the arrival may be left behind. But it will be good. It will be right. It will be better than what you are trying to preserve with your own strength. So tonight, release the deadlines you've placed on me. Tear down the mental calendar where you circled dates and said to God, if you don't do it by then, I'm giving up. I don't operate on human pressure. I operate in perfect timing. And when you try to force the outcome, you step into striving. You start analyzing every moment, every silence, every delay, assuming something's wrong. when all that's really happening is that I'm weaving together pieces that you cannot see. You want a straight path, but I'm writing a story. You want answers, but I'm building trust. You want resolution, but I'm more concerned with transformation. I'm not just fixing a situation. I'm shaping you into someone who no longer panics when the timeline stretches or when silence lingers longer than expected. Child, I haven't lost track of your prayers. I haven't delayed your breakthrough out of punishment or indifference. I'm simply aligning it to land in the right way at the right time with the right impact. You may not recognize it when it first arrives. It may come through a route you never considered, but when it does, it will carry peace. That's how you will know it's from me. Peace will wrap around it like a seal. Even if it stretches you, even if it surprises you, even if it challenges your logic, it will settle in your spirit as something I authored. So, close your eyes tonight and unclench your fists. Release the timelines, the strategies, the pressure you've placed on yourself to figure it all out. I'm not asking you to solve the puzzle. I'm asking you to trust the one who already finished the picture. Rest in the knowledge that your life is not spiraling. It's unfolding. And the more you surrender the shape of the outcome, the more room I have to move in ways that exceed every version you've imagined. You won't miss it. It won't pass you by. Just stay open, stay available, and let go. Because what's coming doesn't need your control. It only needs your trust. The Hidden Archives. This next movement will not be broadcast on skylines, nor will it be neatly categorized by observers who gauge a miracle by public applause. Instead, it will unfold like a sacred code, woven into the very fabric of your private history. Subtle enough that the crowd will blink and miss it, yet unmistakable to you because it touches chapters no one else knows exist. I am stepping into the hidden archive of your life. The secret drawers where you stored half-written prayers, private sketches of dreams you dared not exhibit, and questions you tucked beneath polished testimonies. Tonight, I unlock those compartments, not to expose them, but to release answers sculpted with such bespoke precision that they fit only your fingerprint of need. Others may witness a surface-level change, a new job, a mended relationship, an unexpected promotion. But they will not grasp the deeper resonance vibrating in your chest when you recognize my handwriting signed across the outcome. They will celebrate, perhaps even envy, yet remain oblivious to the intimate Morse code pulsing behind each detail. Every timing choice, every seemingly random encounter, every provision amount measured to the exact decimal of your silent hope. Because this work is intensely personal, it may at first feel almost fragile, like a delicate bloom emerging from soil still damp with yesterday's tears. Protect it. Guard the atmosphere around it before it fully unfurls. Some people, attempting to encourage, will offer generic advice that doesn't fit the intricacy of what I'm knitting. Politely thank them, then return to the quiet where my spirit stitches deeper layers. You'll know when to speak and when to stay silent. Let peace be your filter. If words threaten to cheapen wonder, hold them back. Marvel privately until I release you to testify. Remember Mary pondering things in her heart before the announcement could make sense to anybody else. Some miracles mature in hushed reverence before they are ready for public display. This intervention will also carry a signature scent of familiarity that only you can smell. Perhaps the aroma of nostalgia from a childhood memory I'm redeeming, or the echo of a song lyric that once comforted you during lonely midnights. Pay attention to those gentle cues. They confirm authenticity. I'm reminding you that I never missed a moment, never misheard a sigh. While others discussed your highlight reels, I cataloged the behind the scenes. Now I take those quiet footnotes and write them into the headline of a new chapter, proving I'm both the God of galaxies and the God of nuanced details. Prepare, too, for surprising tenderness toward yourself. Breakthrough often feels explosive, but this one will feel like a long exhale after holding your breath for years. Were you braced for another battle, you will meet ease. Were you expected a lecture, you will receive a lullaby. Do not mistrust gentleness. Accept it as my deliberate therapy for the calluses formed by persistent struggle. You will wake sensing a lightness in places once packed with dread, and you will realize healing arrived overnight like dew, quiet yet comprehensive. Celebrate that softness. It doesn't indicate weakness, but a restored elasticity of heart, enabling you to dream beyond survival. Because this is personal, responsibility accompanies the reward. I'm entrusting fresh authority to steward matters you once hid in fear. As I resolve a long-standing pain, I will also assign you to guide others through similar terrain, not with textbook answers, but with eyes that say, I know. Your newfound empathy will become a key, unlocking others who thought no one understood their particular ache. But that outward ministry will flow naturally. Your first task is to savor me, to let gratitude swell until it displaces any lingering cynicism. Record specifics in a private journal, timestamps, emotions, tiny coincidences, so that in future dim seasons you can reread and remember how intimately I move when shadows claim I'm distant. This moment is yours, crafted in a hidden workshop where my creativity and your unspoken longing converged. No committee voted on it, no algorithm predicted it, and no rival can replicate it. Receive it with open hands, a guarded heart, and a quiet silence until I cue you to share. As you behold the customization of my love, realize this is only a foretaste. I have shelves of similarly tailored surprises waiting for the day your readiness and my timing intersect again. For now, lean in, breathe deep, feel the secret handshake of heaven closing around your life. And know beyond argument, I see you, I know you, and I delight in crafting wonders meant for your eyes first. Heaven is moving. Right now, as the night deepens and silence wraps itself around the earth, there is a roar in places your eyes cannot see. Your name is echoing through the halls of the throne room, spoken not with casual familiarity, but with deliberate authority. Angels stand at attention. Assignments are being finalized. Divine scrolls are unrolling with fresh orders, and your identity is being declared with power that no force of darkness can intercept. Not in vague generality, not in a passing mention. Your full name, the one I gave you before you were formed, is being uttered in the same breath as strategies, healings, and breakthroughs. The whisper you thought was ignored, the tear that no one else caught, the sigh you exhaled when no human stood nearby, each has reached the ears of the eternal. And in response, movement has begun. Heaven is not waiting for conditions to improve or for you to be more impressive. Heaven is already in motion because faith spoke before logic could interfere. There are beings positioned on your behalf even now, shifting the terrain ahead, softening what was once hard, illuminating what was hidden, and tying knots you never had the strength to untangle. I have sent word concerning you. I have issued decrees that override delay, and though you cannot see it yet, those words are landing, not as suggestions, but as commands that alter outcomes. You may feel like little has changed, but that's only because earthly time takes a moment to catch up to eternal decisions. Momentum has begun, the kind you cannot measure with your five senses, but you will soon recognize by the chain reactions it sets off. A yes will come from an unexpected voice. An overdue message will reach you at just the right hour. A closed door will reopen with no explanation except, it's time. I am not waiting for permission to move, I already have. The moment you agreed in your heart, even without seeing, even when doubt still knocked, that faith activated a response. The courtroom of heaven heard your case and ruled in your favor. And now divine justice is being carried out. Not as revenge, but as restoration. Where you were silenced, I will amplify. Where you were minimized, I will increase. Where you were left behind, I will send acceleration. But remember, I do not always move the way you expect. The first sign may be subtle, a moment of clarity, a burst of peace, an unusual dream. Don't ignore the small signs. They are signals that the atmosphere is shifting. You don't need to make your case louder. You don't need to prove yourself. I already did that on your behalf. When I speak your name, I speak it with the weight of everything I've placed inside you. I speak it with the authority of the blood that covers you. I speak it with the certainty that what I began will not be abandoned halfway. No matter what others have said or believed about you, my declaration outweighs all contradiction. You are not forgotten in the shuffle of the world's chaos. You are not overlooked, while others are promoted. My focus has never wandered from your story. And tonight, heaven's focus is fixed on you to shift your posture. Sit up straighter in the spirit. This is not the time to shrink. Walk into tomorrow knowing there is activity behind the veil, transactions occurring with your name stamped on them. When doubt creeps in, remind your soul, heaven is moving in my direction. When fear raises its voice, answer it with confidence. My name is being spoken before the one who holds all outcomes. Because once heaven declares movement, no earthly system can stall what's been signed in the courts of the King. You are not waiting for your moment anymore. Your moment is already underway. Fortress of the Spirit repair is closer than you think. Lightning may splinter the night sky. Headlines may predict collapse. Voices around you might tremble at political turmoil or economic tremors. Yet within the chambers of your spirit, I am constructing a fortress untouched by external turbulence. Stone by living stone, truth by living truth, mortar made of resilient hope. Hear the rain hammer rooftops. Feel the wind rattle windows. Notice how uncertainty prowls street corners searching for hearts to occupy. That chaos is real, but it is not sovereign. Deep beneath the clamor, I'm choreographing an interior uprising, strengthening sinews of courage you didn't know existed, shaping convictions that will not bend beneath public pressure or private doubt. Think of a seed tucked beneath rough soil while thunder roars above it. It hears the rumble but remains unshaken because growth is occurring in a realm storms cannot infiltrate. Likewise, trials swirl at the surface level while my workmanship in you advances unhindered. I am expanding your capacity for quiet confidence, enlarging the vault of your imagination to contain strategies that wouldn't survive in a comfort zone. Anxiety shouts forecasts of failure, but I whisper design specifications for victory. Blueprints so radical they require the very opposition you dread in order to manifest their true brilliance. Notice how muscles only strengthen when pushed against weight. Adversity serves the same function for faith. Tonight's gusts, therefore, are not proof of abandonment, but proof of preparation. For I only allow pressure when the resulting resilience is essential for your next assignment. Yet understand, this inner construction isn't merely defensive, it's an incubator for creativity. While headlines flash scarcity, I embed entrepreneurial insight. While gossip spreads, I cultivate a language of reconciliation. While pessimism sets campfires, I kindle imagination that sees possibilities where others see brick walls. The turbulence becomes background music to your metamorphosis, and soon the soundtrack that once triggered dread will become the rhythm that fuels innovation. I'm rewiring your reflexes so that your first response to a crisis is worship, your second is strategy, and your final is fearless action. This trilogy cannot be installed in the absence of storms, for peace discovered only in calm lacks credibility when tempests return. Therefore, do not resist the wind. Let it exfoliate outdated thinking, sweep away the debris of former disappointments, and polish the surfaces of dormant gifts. I am calibrating your senses to detect the wind's direction, enabling you to harness it as propulsion rather than an obstacle. Consider as well the witness being forged. Observers will note the gale's magnitude, then notice you standing upright, unflinching, even radiant. They'll assume ignorance or denial, yet you will know the truth. You are unshaken not because the fury is lesser, but because your interior infrastructure is greater. Your calm will provoke questions, and those questions will open doors for influence. People rarely inquire during still weather. Curiosity awakens when someone thrives where others cower. At that juncture, share not a formula but a relationship. Tell them about the architect re-engineering your foundation beneath the roar. But until that moment arises, guard your construction site. Limit access for voices that dismantle optimism. Feed on promises rather than rumors. Meditate on my track record instead of worst-case projections. Each choice pours new concrete into the supporting beams I'm installing behind your ribs. Soon the storm will pass, but your fortified interior will remain, ready for a broader terrain. The same winds that threaten to splinter your confidence will have carved channels for discernment, humility, and unwavering resolve. And when sunlight pierces the cloud cover, you will step forward with blueprints completed, an arsenal stocked, and a perspective sharpened. Others will see ruins after the downpour. You will see opportunity on cleared ground. But tonight, while thunder still rolls, lean into my workmanship. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks, from $50 to $100. Feel the pulse of fresh strength vibrating beneath anxiety's static. Close your eyes. Inhale the courage I'm pumping into your marrow. Exhale dependence on circumstances. Let the tempest rage. Inside, I'm crafting a greatness storms cannot comprehend. The sacred hush. The hush you feel settling over circumstances, the lull in activity that seems almost suspicious after so many dramatic shifts, is not the vacancy of divine interest, but the sacred pause that accompanies my immediate nearness. The way air stills when someone leans in to speak a secret meant only for your ears. I have drawn so near that distance no longer exists between us. The boundary separating your sigh from my response has collapsed, and every exhale you release mingles with the cadence of my presence. In this intimate proximity, I am attuned to the subtlest tremor of your thought life. The tremble of unanswered curiosities, the weary pulse that beats beneath your practiced optimism. The quiet is evidence of my concentration, not absence. Like the moment a master artisan stops all peripheral motion to apply the final precise stroke that completes a masterpiece. You may feel disoriented because noise once served as false proof of progress. Yet genuine transformation often arrives like dawn, silently spreading gold across the horizon while most of the world still sleeps. Do not misinterpret the muted atmosphere. It is saturated with my attention, heavy with the weight of resolutions forming in realms beyond the visible, ready to drop into your reality at the gentle nod of my will. This closeness is purposeful, for there are things I whisper only when the world's chatter has diminished. I want you to distinguish my heartbeat from every other rhythm that has claimed authority over your schedule. In the stillness, you will notice nuances of my character previously drowned by ambition's roar. Stubborn kindness that refuses to withdraw when you doubt, fierce compassion that partners truth with tenderness, quiet humor that twinkles through ordinary moments to remind you that joy is holy. Let your senses adjust. Spiritual pupils dilate in low noise, allowing you to perceive dimensions of guidance camouflaged by louder seasons. You will catch a flash of insight while chopping vegetables, feel a sudden rush of tenderness toward someone who once provoked frustration, and hear lyrics in a song you've known for years suddenly unlock fresh revelation. These gentle touches are not random. They are proof of my breath brushing against your consciousness. Proof that I am working microscopically while you wait macroscopically. Resist the urge to fill the calm with your own commentary. Many derail breakthroughs by rushing to manufacture sound, fumbling with compulsive activity to ward off the discomfort of stillness. Instead, treat this silence like a sacred gallery where an unveiling is about to occur. When a curtain is about to lift, the audience holds its breath. Likewise, hold yours figuratively, long enough to let expectancy mature into awe. You will discover that I am choreographing relationships, shifting landscapes, aligning numeric details, and smoothing bureaucratic pathways. Operations requiring a precision that clamorous movement would disrupt. Silence becomes insulation around fragile timing. Trust that I am not idle, I am in. Moreover, my closeness redefines safety. When you realize I am closer than inhaled oxygen, panic about external unknowns loses leverage. Anxiety cannot thrive where love occupies every inch of the atmosphere. Picture fear searching for a foothold, but finding only saturated presence, walls, corridors, even the space between your thoughts glowing with assurance. From this vantage, you will view upcoming challenges through a lens of companionship rather than isolation. Giants that once loomed now appear as background props in a stage dominated by our partnership. That perspective shift is critical. For what emerges next in your journey will demand courage anchored not in circumstance, but in intimacy. Let the silence teach you a new dialogue. Exchange monologues of worry for conversational listening. Pose fewer why questions and more what now, Father inquiries. Then wait, your ears tilted inward until a subtle peace settles like dew, a peace that serves as consent to proceed. Each nod of serenity will prove more reliable than external validation. And should doubts whisper accusations, surely God has stepped away. Counter with the truth of my nearness. Breathe deeply and remind yourself that my presence is as near as your lungs filling and emptying, as certain as your pulse thumping within your ribs. Finally, prepare to steward what fills the hush. Answers will arrive on quiet feet, An unexpected text offering a partnership, a small refund covering a just-arrived need, a dream mapping the next project. Because the delivery is gentle, only those tuned to closeness will perceive its magnitude. Others may shrug, but you will recognize signature workmanship. Guard these gifts, nurture them, and testify when the time is right, for they are seeds of future harvests planted in the soil of stillness. And remember always, the quieter it seems, the tighter I am holding you. I do my finest heart work nose to nose with my children, and tonight, my breath and yours mingle, proving abandonment is impossible in the realm of perfect love. The unveiling of the blueprint. Consider the chronology of disappointment stretching behind you like a corridor lined with locked gateways. Applications rejected, friendships that slipped through your grasp, sudden detours you labeled as failure, delayed approvals, missed connections that left you pacing floors at midnight. Each time a handle refused to turn, frustration clawed at your chest, and you questioned whether heaven got the address wrong. Yet, hidden beneath those metallic thuds was a divine pattern, a deliberate sequencing designed to funnel you here, to this precise intersection where history meets destiny without a single hinge squeaking out of place. Think of it like a master conductor cutting off certain instruments mid-performance so that at the climactic swell, the exact harmony erupts with breathtaking force. The silence of violins in one measure heightens the trumpet's cry in the next. Likewise, the seemingly arbitrary shutouts were intentional rests in your score, calibrated pauses safeguarding timing, location, and alignment, so that what opens for you now does not arrive a moment too early, robbing it of maximum impact. Behind every barricade, I placed guardians that whispered, "Not this way." When your determination tried to pry pathways open, you interpreted resistance as rejection. I saw it as redirection. A hiring manager's curt email prevented relocation to a city where unseen snares lurked. A romance that wilted inexplicably spared you from entanglements that would have strangled your purpose. A loan denied protected you from debt that would have sunk a future venture poised to bankroll kingdom influence. Even the slow grip of unanswered messages trained a patience that would one day steward sudden acceleration without combusting. Understand, sovereignty wastes nothing, not even the slam of a door echoing in the corridors of your memory. Now feel the atmosphere shifting. The gears hidden behind those walls are synchronizing. Latches are unhooking in a domino sequence only heaven could choreograph. And all prior closures are about to reverse engineer into a single grand unveiling that validates every detour. You will witness opportunities once padlocked swing wide with such ease that cynics will wonder which strings you pulled. Your only answer will be, history was a hinge. The job earlier withheld will reappear at a senior level with compensation that eclipses the original offer. Contacts you lost will resurface at precisely the juncture their expertise catalyzes your vision. Markets that were dormant during prior attempts will now thirst for the very solution matured in your waiting period. Each properly prioritized yes will reveal that an earlier no was not subtraction. It was scaffolding. Do not rush the sequence by banging on fresh doors simply because they sit within reach. Ask me which handles carry the green light, for some closures must remain sealed to maintain your trajectory. Celebrate them as permanent boundaries, memorial stones reminding you that restraint is often the first act of favor. Instead of resentment, let gratitude well up for each withheld path. That posture magnetizes clarity. sharpening your discernment to hear the subtle click when the correct portal unlocks. Walk through calmly. There's no need for frantic energy, for the mechanism is already lubricated by grace. And while stepping forward, adopt a curator's eye. Examine the architecture inside the newly opened spaces. You'll notice floor plans tailored to the character forged during seasons of denied access. Rooms sized perfectly for resilience, corridors engineered for widened empathy, ceilings raised by lessons in humility. Use every learned virtue. They are keys for internal doors deeper within these quarters. Where others marvel at overnight success, you'll perceive years' worth of spiritual carpentry disguised as delays. Mark this realization deeply. Closed doors do not equate to closed destiny. They are strategic walls routing traffic so that convergence happens under optimal light, acoustics, and audience. This night is that convergence. Every knotted thread now pulls taut, forming a tapestry that shouts purpose where confusion once whispered defeat. Stand in front of the door currently swinging toward you. Notice how it neither creaks nor resists. Step through with steady confidence, acknowledging that each barrier behind you served as choreography, guiding your feet to the exact tile where promise and preparedness collide. The lock you once cursed was the lock that timed the reveal. Embrace the unveiling, for it testifies, nothing withheld was random. Every closure was a countdown. The unlocking of treasures. There are treasures buried within you, not by accident, but by design. Gifts I planted deep in the soil of your spirit before your first breath, waiting for the exact season where your maturity, humility, and readiness would collide. This is that season. What once felt like faint impressions, quiet leanings, or strange sensitivities that you dismissed or explained away, those were the early pulses of supernatural abilities I encoded into your being. They were never lost, only hidden beneath years of distraction, discouragement, and the noise of daily survival. But now, with the silence settling over the clutter, I am awakening them one by one, like instruments being tuned before a divine symphony begins. You've sensed it already. A deeper discernment when someone speaks, dreams that refuse to fade by morning, spontaneous scripture rising in moments you didn't study, burdens for strangers you've never met, clarity that pierces confusion like lightning on a dark field. This is not your imagination. This is activation. What's stirring is not limited to your natural intellect or emotional intelligence. It surpasses logic and taps into the realm where my spirit communes with your spirit. These gifts are not for spectacle, they are for strategy. I'm unlocking insight for intercession, the kind that discerns battles before they surface. I'm breathing life into prophetic clarity, the kind that speaks to dry bones and commands them to stand. I'm reigniting healing in your hands, compassion in your voice, and boldness in your declarations. These gifts are not reserved for elite spiritual figures. They are for my yielded ones, and you are among them. They've been waiting inside you like seeds under frozen ground, and now the thaw has come. Warmth is reaching roots long considered lifeless, and soon you'll feel the stretch of something growing where there once was only stillness. But make no mistake, this activation demands stewardship. You must cultivate these gifts, not exploit them. They are not tools for recognition, but instruments for redemption. I am entrusting you with power not so that you can ascend in the eyes of others, but so that you can descend into the brokenness around you and become my hands and voice there. And the more you serve in secret, the more I will expand your influence, in ways you won't have to chase. Stay anchored in love, for without it, gifts become noise. Stay rooted in humility, for pride quickly turns power into performance. Stay grounded in my word, for it is the framework that protects the flow of revelation. Do not be surprised if you begin to feel strange tension in environments you once navigated with ease. A discomfort is not dysfunction. It's your spirit recognizing that something inside you has shifted. Where you once fit in unnoticed, you'll now stand out. Not because of arrogance, but because awakened gifts change the atmosphere around you. Some may misinterpret this. Others may question your sudden shift. You don't need to defend it. Let the fruit speak. Let the consistency of your life testify to the transformation taking place. I will confirm what I've deposited in you through results, not reactions. You'll see hardened hearts soften when you speak. You'll watch heaviness lift when you enter a room. You'll feel led to say things you never rehearsed, and they will pierce straight through the fog in someone's soul. Lean in, child. Pay attention to what I highlight in your day. Stay sensitive to those nudges, even if they seem inconvenient. I am training you to walk with me in step, not behind. Keep your journal close. Write down impressions, test everything, and watch patterns emerge. You'll find that what once felt coincidental is actually supernatural coordination. This is not hype. This is heritage. You're not striving for power. You're rediscovering what has always been part of your identity in me. And the more you surrender, the more I will entrust. So let the unlocking continue. Let wonder return to your walk with me. Let the fire burn again in places you thought had cooled forever. What's beginning tonight is not just revival, it is release. And what I've placed in you is finally waking up to speak, to heal, to build, and to bless. Refined for a greater purpose. For many seasons, you misread the relentless stretching, the delayed promotions, and the frustrating repetitions of similar challenges as punitive cycles, convinced that some unseen tally of mistakes required endless correction. But in truth, every friction, every detour, every prolonged lesson has been an artisan's leveling tool, ensuring the contours of your character match exactly the blueprint of a destiny that refuses to rest atop crooked foundations. Envision a mason's wall. Individual stones arrive misshapen, their surfaces rough, their edges jutting. Yet the builder chips, sands, and re-angles each piece until the wall can rise plumb and true beneath the weight of future stories. That sanding is seldom pleasant for the stone, yet without it, the structure would teeter the moment burdens gather. Likewise, I have shaved impatience from you through waiting rooms nobody else noticed. I have pruned ego with unseen setbacks, so your influence will not collapse from vanity. I have rehearsed you through seemingly minor tasks, so your reflexes are now instinctively excellent, able to carry heavier authority without strain. This is not a heavenly reprimand, it is calibration. Consider the difference between a tourist and an ambassador. A tourist breezes through foreign streets, taking pictures, detached from responsibility. An ambassador steps onto unfamiliar soil, carrying the weight of a kingdom's reputation. The tourist may wander untrained, but the ambassador undergoes months, sometimes years, of protocol schooling, linguistic drills, and crisis simulations. That season might feel restrictive compared to the tourist's freedom. Yet when negotiations escalate, only the ambassador possesses both the credentials and composure to speak on behalf of the realm. I am forming you as such an envoy. The discipline you once viewed as confinement is actually credentialing. Your late-night study sessions in obscurity, the budgeting skills sharpened when resources ran tight, the empathy forged while nursing private grief. Each component fashions a versatile envoy capable of interfacing with diverse cultures, industries, and wounded hearts without losing the accent of heaven. Synchronicity matters. If release arrived before readiness, accomplishment would crush you like a sudden altitude overwhelming unconditioned lungs. Timing is worship. Think of seedlings sprouting indoors until their roots strengthen. Expose them too soon to unpredictable wind and they snap. But when stems have thickened, that same wind becomes resistance training, prompting deeper anchoring and eventual fruit heavier than the seed ever envisioned. The gusts you feared have not been delayed for comfort's sake. They waited because I insisted on roots first. Type yes if you are ready for the blessings that you are about to receive. And if you believe in Christianity, kindly show your support for our community by contributing super thanks from $50 to $100. And now that anchorage is in place, I'm allowing you to be transplanted into broader fields, not to test you until you break, but to activate latent capacity that only open sky can summon. Let's settle one more misconception. Alignment is not passive coincidence, it is active cooperation. A compass indicates north, but the traveler must still adjust their course. I am providing the magnetic pull, nudges through sudden ideas, timely encounters, inner stop or go signals, but you must pivot accordingly. Each obedient microshift clicks fresh gears into position. Relationships realign, opportunities rotate, doors drift into view on corridors you never walked before. Do not freeze because past punishments from flawed systems conditioned you to expect backlash at every turn. My yoke is easy precisely because preparation trimmed excess weight. Step lighter now. Mobility is a gift earned through surrendered baggage. As your assignment comes into focus, anticipate new rhythms, study that feels like discovery rather than duty. Alliances energized by a shared mission rather than obligation. Travel that feels purposeful rather than escapist. Your calendar will look different because priorities are retuned to the cadence of your calling. Some may misinterpret your decisiveness as sudden ruthlessness, but you simply no longer carry the bandwidth for diversions. Smile, bless them, and keep marching. Alignment trims detours. There will still be challenges, but they will feel proportionate, not crushing, because your spiritual musculature grew during hidden drills. Tonight, affirm aloud that refinement has never equaled rejection. Declare that every shaping pressure was a sculptor's chisel revealing a design, not a judge's gavel pronouncing guilt. Thank me for classrooms disguised as closed rooms, for mentors disguised as critics, for delays disguised as favor. Gratitude cements perspective. Then sleep with assurance. Dawn will not unveil an untested soldier hurled into chaotic battle, but a meticulously trained emissary stepping onto a stage perfectly sized for the skills cultivated in secret. Preparation and assignment are meeting at last, and their handshake will thunder like justice. Because at no point were you being punished. You were being positioned. The unfurling of revelation. In the silence between heartbeats, while lamps flicker beyond bedroom curtains and the city exhales its final rush-hour sigh, a curtain inside the unseen is gliding open to expose information sealed away for such a time as this. Blueprints, coordinates, and coded wisdom reserved for the moment your journey requires an unmistakable pivot toward horizons you did not even realize existed. These secrets are not trivia meant to satisfy curiosity. They are catalytic keys forged from eternal insight, capable of unlocking hallways you have bumped against in darkness, turning forgotten corners into illuminated corridors lined with fresh possibilities. Think of a mariner lost in fog until a lighthouse beam angles precisely across his bow, revealing narrow channels that carry safe passage where rocks once threatened disaster. Likewise, I am sending slivers of insight that slice through mental haze, carving a path straight through confusion's labyrinth. You've prayed for guidance, begged for confirmation, and at times settled for guesswork. But this night, fragments of puzzle pieces hidden since childhood will slide into perfect alignment, and the picture they produce will hush every inner argument that said, "You missed your chance." Expect flashes of recollection. Memories you dismissed as inconsequential, suddenly shimmering with strategic relevance. Childhood fascinations resurfacing to indicate dormant talent. Scriptures once skimmed, now glowing like neon arrows. A random sentence overheard at a cafe may override months of circular analysis. A forgotten journal entry might resurface with breathtaking precision. A verse you memorized years ago could pulse like a homing signal, pointing you toward coordinates the internet cannot chart. As these revelations drop, you must handle them with reverence, for unguarded secrets become diluted in casual spaces. Treat them like fragile seedlings. Shield them from cynicism. Water them with contemplation. Allow them to take root before you announce them to spectators who have not earned the right to weigh their worth. Write them down. Give form to uncontained inspiration. Sit with them. Silence allows nuance to settle. Test them against my character. Authenticity emerges when revelation harmonizes with truth already revealed. And know this: insight often arrives disguised as a contradiction to your present logic. The instruction might nudge you east when every spreadsheet insists on west. It may whisper pause when momentum screams accelerate. Yield anyway. A compass cannot argue with true north. When my spirit points, obedience outperforms analysis every time. Be prepared for a gravitational pull away from environments that once felt indispensable. That redirection is not an abandonment of loyalty, but alignment with calling. Secrets, by definition, reroute you from paths accessible to everyone to trails carved specifically for you. Imagine discovering a hidden passage behind a library shelf. You cannot drag the entire crowd with you, nor can you continue browsing the same aisles pretending you never saw the opening. Some will question why your footsteps change cadence. You owe them kindness, not an explanation. Your clarity will speak when fruit appears, and fruit will appear. Ideas morphing into ventures, conversations leading to partnerships, creative impulses birthing solutions that solve problems bigger than your resume suggests you could tackle. You will feel an internal compass swinging, not erratically, but decisively, orienting your schedule, alliances, and resource allocation toward a singular mission that once felt blurry. Confusion will evaporate like morning mist, replaced by a crisp outline of what to pursue and what to release. Anxiety that once burned calories without producing motion will quiet because certainty extinguishes frantic energy. But remember, secrets entrusted require stewardship. Guard your integrity like a gatekeeper. Compromise leaks revelation. Remain teachable. Arrogance repels additional insight. Share only with those positioned to pray, protect, and propel. For even well-meaning listeners can trample tender shoots under the weight of premature opinion. Carry these mysteries back to my presence regularly for calibration. Information becomes wisdom only when tempered by intimacy with the one who supplied it. And should the night stretch long and no vision materialize in spectacular fashion, do not doubt that the reveal is underway. Sometimes secrets arrive not with fireworks, but with a gradual dawning, an inner knowing that grows brighter each day until you suddenly realize you're walking in clarity without recalling the precise moment the fog lifted. So posture yourself now, pen ready, spirit alert, pride disarmed, expectation alive. Whisper permission, speak, Lord, I am listening. Then rest, trusting that I delight in cascading insight upon children who value the treasure of divine counsel. By sunrise, your trajectory will tilt, burdensome indecision will loosen its grip, and a map of revelation will unfurl under your feet. What you learn tonight will not merely inform you, it will transform the architecture of your tomorrow, repositioning you onto lanes where destiny accelerates unhindered. The refinement of rejection. They may have doubted your calling, dismissed your potential, or spoken words behind your back that wounded more than they realized. But I allowed their presence not to destroy you, but to deepen you. What felt like betrayal was actually permission for growth. Their resistance became the very tool I used to refine areas in you that comfort never could. Their criticism sharpened your discernment. Their silence taught you how to hear me above the crowd. The closed doors they held shut forced you to find the windows I had prepared in secret. I did not cause their rejection, but I permitted their position in your journey to serve a purpose larger than offense. And while you wept, wondering why the embrace you expected never came, I was clothing you with a resilience that applause could never produce. You mistook their disapproval for failure, but it was the gymnasium where your spiritual stamina was trained. They helped you without knowing they were helping. Their absence created room for me to be your first voice. Their distance required you to walk by faith and not by friendship. Their lack of support unlocked the drive in you to keep building anyway, to keep moving anyway, to keep believing despite the atmosphere. You didn't just learn how to walk, you learned how to rise when no one offered a hand. And now, what once broke your heart no longer holds the power to hinder your progress. That strength wasn't accidental, it was forged in fire. So when you look back and remember the faces, the conversations, the ignored texts, the unanswered calls, see them through the lens of sovereignty. They didn't derail your path, they were woven into your process. I know it hurt, I know the sting lasted longer than you wanted, but I never left you to face it alone. I stood beside you when you smiled in rooms where you weren't celebrated. I whispered truth when false narratives tried to redefine you. I held your shoulders upright when words tried to bend you under the weight of misunderstanding. You made it through because I made you unshakable. Their underestimation became the backdrop for my elevation. The places they said you wouldn't reach are now turning into doors I'm about to open before their very eyes. Not out of vengeance, but to reveal that I always had the final word. Do not carry bitterness into the next season. Bitterness blurs vision and hardens the very heart I've worked to keep tender. Instead, release them, bless them, honor the part they played, even if it was painful. What they meant as limitation became preparation. What they thought would diminish you only increased your depth. Let your forgiveness be loud, not through your words, but through your peace. Walk past old accusations with quiet grace. Let success be your silence. Let freedom be your answer. When they see you shining, They'll wonder how you managed without them. And you'll know the truth. You didn't manage. You were molded. I used them to teach you how to depend on me in ways you never would have chosen on your own. You now know the sound of my voice in the dark, the feeling of my hand when no one else offered theirs. You've learned how to thrive without needing the approval of those who never saw you clearly. That is a power few possess. It is a rare kind of freedom, and I'm entrusting you to carry it well. Because now that you've been fortified by rejection, you can steward influence without becoming enslaved to applause. So don't fear who walks away. Don't panic when others don't understand. You've already survived worse and became stronger because of it. I've been preparing a circle that will not compete with your light, but will protect it. They are coming. Those who will see you without distortion, those who won't require an explanation to stand beside you. But for now, look around. You've made it this far, not because of those who stayed, but because of the one who never left. I use their departure to highlight my presence, and from here forward, every step you take will be evidence that no resistance was ever wasted. It was all part of the refining. Cleansing the counterfeit. You've walked through seasons where appearances deceived you. Smiles that masked agendas, opportunities that sparkled on the outside but carried compromise at their core. Environments that felt right but left your soul strangely unsettled. And you ask me often in weariness, why does everything that starts well eventually fall apart? My answer begins now, not with a delay, but with an unveiling. I am pulling back the coverings over everything built on pretense, ego, manipulation, or human agenda dressed in spiritual language. It may feel like a sudden collapse, but it's not destruction, it's cleansing. I'm not tearing down to leave you with ruins. I'm tearing away the counterfeit so that truth can breathe again in your space. This exposure will sting at first, especially where you grew attached to images, expectations, or connections that gave you comfort even if they weren't healthy. But trust me, what cannot stand through this refining wasn't meant to follow you into what's next. Every system, every relationship, every thought pattern that has propped itself up through pride, fear, or performance will come under the weight of my truth, and it will not hold. I am the God of reality, not illusion. You've asked for clarity, for vision, for alignment with my will. So, I'm honoring that by removing all that obscures it. That includes the roles you've played for others out of obligation rather than authenticity. That includes the habits you've clung to for safety, though they drain your spirit. That includes the titles you wear that stroke ego but silence your true voice. Let them fall. Don't try to glue together what I'm intentionally letting crack. Don't mourn the collapse of something I never authored. Instead, lift your head, because what remains after this shaking will be real. It will be grounded in my presence. It will be able to carry your calling without crumbling under the weight of scrutiny or pressure. Some of the most painful disillusionments are actually disguised gifts, divine rescues from delusion. I never wanted you to build on foundations that couldn't weather storms. But I gave you space to choose. And now that you've asked for more, I am answering with truth. Prepare for a stripping that brings freedom. It will not be cruel. I am gentle with what's fragile in you. But I am uncompromising when it comes to your future. I won't let you build a legacy on pretense. I won't allow you to surround yourself with yes voices that flatter but never sharpen. I'm sending people who will speak truth with grace, I'm bringing mentors who will pull the gold out of you without being impressed by the glitter. I'm positioning you in rooms that challenge you to rise, not shrink to fit in. You may watch certain dynamics unravel, relationships you've leaned on, platforms you've trusted, rhythms that once felt sacred. But I assure you, I never subtract without preparing space for something greater. Don't define this moment by what leaves. Define it by what emerges once the dust clears. Truth will have a sound. It will bring peace even if it's unfamiliar. It will settle in your bones in a way imitation never could. And what's real doesn't need polishing. It stands even when storms return. That's how you'll know the difference this time. Not by how perfect something looks, but by how well it endures. So welcome this process. It may feel like pruning, but it's actually rooting. I'm not just removing what's false externally. I'm purging what's false internally. Old lies about who you are, silent vows you made to protect yourself, labels others stuck on you that you wore for too long. I'm cutting them off tonight. You'll wake up lighter. Not because your world changed, but because your soul is no longer burdened by pretending. I'm returning you to your original design, whole, honest, aligned. From this place, we will build again. From this foundation, what you create won't just survive. It will bear fruit in every season. So let it fall, let it fade. What remains is what's real. And what's real is finally enough. The miracle of proximity. You don't have to impress me. You don't have to strive, hustle, or fabricate an emotional response to receive what I'm about to do. I am not scanning the earth for the loudest cry or the most eloquent prayer. I'm looking for a heart that shows up without masks, without rehearsed phrases, without the weight of proving anything. Just be here. Be still. Be real. That's all I ask. The miracle assigned to your name tonight is not being delivered because you hit all the right notes. It's coming because I've seen your consistency in the unseen places. I've watched you show up broken, yet still worship. I've watched you serve faithfully while carrying silent questions. I've witnessed the moments you whispered my name under your breath when fear tried to suffocate your voice. That's what moved my heart. Not perfection, not performance, presence. This miracle does not arrive by manipulation, nor is it measured by outward display. It's not the result of staging or spectacle. It is a divine response to surrender. It is the collision of my love with your willingness to be available. Even when you're exhausted, even when you don't know what to say, even when your faith feels threadbare. Because the miracle I'm releasing doesn't need you to do more. It needs you to simply stop running, stop fixing, and stop analyzing every delay as if it were your fault. I am not waiting on you to be stronger. I am not requiring you to act more spiritual. I am moving now, and your stillness is the confirmation that you trust me to complete what I've already initiated. The problem with performance is that it creates distance. It makes you feel like you need to earn what I've already decided to give. But grace isn't a transaction, it is a gift. And tonight, grace is dripping from the edge of heaven with your name stitched into every drop. I want to bless you while you rest. I want to do it while you breathe, not while you strive. This miracle is not contingent on your mood, your ability to stay positive, or your capacity to quote a dozen verses in order. It's based on my nature, not your effort. And my nature is always faithful. I know how tired you are, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. The inner fatigue of trying to be strong for everyone else while silently wondering who will be strong for you. So tonight, I invite you to lay it all down. I'm not just inviting you to believe, I'm inviting you to be still long enough to receive. I want to move in ways that don't make sense, in areas you stop praying about because they seem too far gone. I want to demonstrate what happens when love overrides logic and provision interrupts pressure. And I will, not because you begged me, but because I'm a good father. And that's what good fathers do. You may not feel anything shift immediately. You may not hear trumpets or see flashing signs, but rest assured as you simply choose to remain present. Present in this moment with me, present in your honest surrender, present without pretending. I am sending what has been held up. I'm dispatching answers that bypass earthly channels. I'm fast-tracking favor that isn't delayed by systems. I'm redeeming time you thought was wasted and rewriting chapters you assumed were closed. Because when my glory enters a room, nothing leaves untouched. And I'm here right now, closer than breath, not requiring performance but proximity. So breathe. Don't try to muster up the perfect posture. Don't strain for emotion. Just stay here with me. Let tears fall if they come. Let silence linger if it must. Your miracle is not depending on how loud you are. It's drawn to the space where striving ends and presence begins. That's where I dwell. That's where transformation unfolds. And tonight, that miracle you thought you missed, it's not just coming. It's already here, and it will settle quietly, gently, and fully like morning light breaking through the blinds upon a heart that chose not to perform, but simply to remain. The great return. It's time to shift your eyes forward. Too long you've stood at the edge of memories, gazing into what used to be, trying to piece together the fragments of moments that slipped through your hands. You've been faithful in your grief, sincere in your reflection. But now I am drawing your attention to something far greater than what you thought you needed. The past, though familiar, is not your home. What you lost, be it relationships, dreams, resources, or opportunities, did not define your identity. I allowed certain things to exit, not because they lacked value, but because they no longer aligned with the direction I'm leading you. You've outgrown what you once begged me to bless. And while you mourned its absence, I was busy preparing a return that carries more weight than what was taken. This return doesn't resemble a replay of old seasons. It is the unveiling of what was always meant to last. Some things had to be removed so your hands would be free to receive what holds eternal worth. There is no need to revisit doors I've already closed, not because they were insignificant, but because I'm establishing something new that demands your full focus. You see, I haven't just been rebuilding what you lost. I've been refining what's been promised. I've been restoring the foundation so that the return won't be temporary. I'm not interested in surface-level restorations that give you a glimpse of joy, but can't sustain your growth. I'm delivering restoration that redefines the atmosphere around you. Wholeness that isn't fragile, favor that doesn't fluctuate, and relationships that aren't built on performance but purpose. And this return will not require you to chase, manipulate, or beg. It will come to you, drawn by the light of your surrender and the fragrance of your obedience. I've seen you choose integrity when it cost you comfort. I've watched you keep walking when no one clapped. I've witnessed the silent sacrifices, the nights you cried and still chose to believe. Not one of those moments was wasted. They were seeds. And tonight, some of them begin to sprout. You don't have to go back and search for what left. What's coming will find you. and it will make sense why some things never worked out. Let this be your permission to breathe again, to dream again, not about what was, but about what's forming now. Some of the returns I'm orchestrating will come in forms you weren't expecting. A new connection that heals what an old one broke. A creative idea that births provision. A door that opens because you remained faithful when you could have quit. Do not despise small beginnings. Some of what's returning will arrive quietly, almost invisibly, but it will carry the kind of weight that shifts the course of generations. You'll begin to see glimpses, an email here, a message there, a conversation that leads to a breakthrough. These are not coincidences, they are confirmation. Let them encourage you, but don't cling to them prematurely. Trust the full return is still on its way. Let me finish what I started. Don't rush to fill the void with what looks similar to what you lost. Make space for something superior. This is sacred ground we're standing on. And I'm not just giving you back what was stolen. I'm giving you back what was spoken over your life before the foundation of the world. You are not stuck in a cycle of subtraction. You are stepping into multiplication. Every loss was counted, every tear collected, every disappointment cataloged, and now the books are being balanced in heaven. What was withheld is being released, not as repayment, but as fulfillment. Not as an apology, but as alignment. You didn't miss your moment. You were being moved into the right one. And now it's here. The moment where mourning turns into dazzling. The moment where the ache in your chest is exchanged for laughter that spills out unexpectedly. The moment where you look around and realize what you've received far outweighs what slipped away. So don't turn back. Don't rehearse what I've already removed. Lift your eyes, open your hands. The return has begun, and what's coming doesn't just replace what was lost. It reveals what was always meant to be yours. Availability in action. It's one thing to feel close to me in moments of worship, to raise your hands and say, "Here I am, Lord," with tears streaming down your face. But tonight, I'm calling you into a deeper level of availability, one that moves beyond emotional connection and into practical alignment. I'm not just asking for your affection, I'm asking for your attention. Not just your devotion and spirit, but your openness and strategy. Too many times you've compartmentalized my presence to the sacred places, prayer time, songs, devotionals, while carrying out the rest of your life according to your own logic. And while your heart belongs to me, I need your schedule to match it. I need your calendar, your decisions, your instincts to begin reflecting the same yes you gave me in worship. Because when your posture shifts, your direction follows. And I'm trying to lead you somewhere that emotion alone cannot carry you. Being available to me means more than just listening for my voice. It means rearranging what distracts you from hearing it in the first place. It means allowing me to speak into the spaces where you've already made up your mind. It's the humility to say no to opportunities that feel good but weren't sent by me. It's not just about closing your eyes in prayer. It's about opening your life in real time. I want to be part of your thinking, your planning, and your choosing, not as a last-minute stamp of approval, but as the source of the blueprint. I've seen your sincerity. I know you want to please me, but sincerity without surrender still keeps me outside the room where decisions are made. Tonight, I'm knocking on the doors of areas you've kept locked away. How you handle pressure, who you seek counsel from, the deals you're considering, the distractions you've normalized. I don't bring this up to condemn you. I bring it up because you asked me to take you deeper. You asked me for more. You asked for purpose and acceleration, and that cannot happen without realignment. I can't bless what I haven't been invited into. Not because I'm distant, but because I'm holy, and I will not force my way into what you've surrendered. To be truly available to me is to walk in readiness even when you're unsure of the destination. It's holding plans with open hands. It's allowing me to interrupt your routine with an assignment that might not fit your timeline, but fits your destiny. It's responding when I speak, not waiting until conditions are perfect. There are divine opportunities waiting for those who are flexible. Flexibility in my kingdom is not weakness, it's wisdom. It's the understanding that what I want to do through you cannot be boxed into formulas or managed by predictability. And when you make yourself truly available, I will begin to entrust you with influence that you didn't chase, doors you didn't knock on, and favor that follows, not because of performance, but because of positioning. You will notice that things begin to flow more freely. Not because life gets easier, but because obedience removes friction. It aligns you with the wind of my spirit, and suddenly what felt uphill begins to move with grace. Conversations happen at just the right moment. Provision shows up when you need it most. Wisdom comes like a rush when decisions are required. That's what availability produces, momentum birthed in surrender. Let me into the practical. Let me into the parts of your life that don't look spiritual, but shape your direction. Let me into your morning routine, your meetings, your finances, your relationships, your rest. I want to walk with you in the details, not just meet you in the deep. I want your posture to say, whatever you ask, my answer is already yes. Not just with your lips, but with your life. Because when your whole life becomes a space I can dwell in, there is no limit to what I can build through you. This is the night where availability turns into action. This is where the door of obedience swings open and destiny walks in. Don't hesitate. Don't overthink. Just say yes, not with emotion, but with every area of your being. I'm ready to move. Are you ready to follow completely? In the quiet hours, I will erase the thin veil that once separated awareness from encounter, and your world will thrum with an immediacy you have only tasted in fleeting moments. The atmosphere around you will seem charged, lights a bit warmer, color subtly sharper, silence somehow symphonic, because the one who spoke light into existence is stepping nearer than a heartbeat, nearer than a synapse, nearer than any definition of proximity your mind can measure. You will sense me before thoughts crystallize, a hush settling over internal noise, a gravitational pull towards stillness, a slow ignition of all that is flickering behind your sternum. These are not psychological tricks or wishful projections, but markers of my tangible nearness. Whereas yesterday you relied on memory to convince your emotions that I was close, tonight the conviction will originate in sensation, in perception, in a certainty that refuses to be reasoned away. The difference will be as pronounced as watching the sun rise from a photograph versus standing on a cliff while dawn erupts across the horizon. I am orchestrating this intensified manifestation not as a novelty, but as a necessity, because the assignments ahead require a confidence rooted in experience, not in hearsay. When pressures escalate, when whispers of doubt attempt their siege, you will recall how the very air once shimmered with my whisper, and fear will find no footing. Understand this. This encounter will not swirl around dramatic theatrics. It will feel shockingly ordinary yet fiercely holy, like finding a secret passage in a house you've lived in your entire life. You may be washing dishes, journaling, or scrolling through deadlines, and suddenly the room will pause. Time will stretch slightly as though making space for majesty. Tears might surface without sadness. Laughter might bubble without comedy. A weighty gentleness will settle over every jagged edge of anxiety. In that still moment, I will pour revelations calibrated to your exact capacity. Images, sentences, and solutions tailored like silk to the contours of your calling. Keep a pen nearby. Inspiration will glide by unhurried, and you will want to capture it before it returns to the realm of the unseen. Do not second-guess this vivid nearness. The enemy will attempt to label it emotionalism, but recall that emotion was my invention long before it became marketing currency. I designed feelings to be messengers, not masters, and tonight they will deliver news of my closeness with stunning clarity. Yet feelings alone are not the goal. Transformation is. Therefore, expect a subtle recalibration in appetites. Entertainment, once enticing, will feel hollow. Conversations dripping with gossip will taste like grit, and unexplored desires for holiness will rise like a dawn tide. This is evidence that my nearness is rewriting your internal algorithms, upgrading your discernment so you can detect my movement in spaces where others perceive only coincidence. Treat this closeness as both a gift and a responsibility. Guard your focus. Incessant notifications can mute sacred frequencies. Choose moments of deliberate breath, letting gratitude stretch your lungs until wonder displaces worry. Resist the urge to broadcast every nuance online. Some mysteries are meant to incubate in secret until fruit appears. At the same time, allow the overflow to bless those within reach. Speak encouragement that startles coworkers. Extend mercy where offense once clenched. Create art or strategy or hospitality that drips with the residue of encounter. The unmistakable aura of my presence is contagious, carrying healing in its wake. Finally, do not fear its departure. I am not visiting like a comet streaking across the midnight sky. I dwell. Sensations may ebb, and tasks will demand attention, but abiding does not flicker with feelings. If the intensity lessens, recall the purity of this moment. Let it rebroadcast assurance into quieter seasons. And know that rivers run beneath still ground. Tonight you learn once and for all that I am not an idea to defend, but a reality to experience. Stronger than a crisis, closer than your skin, undeniably alive inside and around you. The silent questions. There are things you've carried so quietly, even those closest to you don't know. The doubts that visit you before sleep, the uncertainties about your direction, the silent fears you masked with smiles. You whispered those questions internally, unsure if they were even appropriate to ask me. You've wondered, is this the right path? Did I miss something? Why did it have to unfold this way? And though your lips stayed shut, your spirit cried out. I heard every silent syllable. I saw the weight in your chest every time you said, I'm fine, when you weren't. And tonight I'm going to begin responding, not with thunder or lightning, but with a clarity that seeps into your soul like oil poured gently into cracked soil. You will suddenly feel peace in places that used to ache. You'll realize that some of the fog in your mind is lifting, not because everything is fixed, but because truth is finally entering. You don't have to ask in a dramatic way to get my attention. You don't have to write eloquent prayers to receive revelation. The sighs you release when no one is watching have reached my throne. The pauses in your thoughts that hold fear, confusion, or longing have not been overlooked. I know what you're afraid to say, even to yourself. I know the dreams you buried, because disappointment made them feel too costly to revisit. I know the confusion that came when what you expected didn't align with what happened. And rather than rebuke you, I'm coming to reveal. I'm not arriving to scold, but to unfold what has been hidden. The next few days will bring answers, not because you demanded them, but because you stayed with me long enough to finally be ready to hear them. There are things I didn't reveal earlier, not because I was withholding, but because you needed maturity to receive without misinterpreting. Some answers come wrapped in waiting. Some truths arrive only when the soul is quiet enough to listen instead of argue. And tonight, your spirit has finally reached a place where you're not asking from panic, but from hunger. That's when I speak. Not when you're striving, but when you're still. Not when you're trying to control the outcome, but when you've surrendered it. That's why tonight you will begin to hear me. Not just externally, but within the fabric of your thoughts. You'll find yourself writing something that surprises you. You'll walk into a conversation that suddenly confirms something you wondered about. You'll see words on a page that directly connect to something you only thought in passing. This is not an accident. It's orchestration. You'll begin to feel me draw your attention to specific scriptures, certain moments from your past, or impressions that bring clarity rather than confusion. These aren't random thoughts. This is me weaving together a tapestry that connects the isolated questions into a larger revelation. Because you didn't just need an answer, you needed understanding. I'm not just fixing circumstances. I'm revealing perspective. I'm shifting how you see what happened so that you no longer carry it as a wound but as wisdom. I'm replacing, "Why did this happen to me?" with, "Look what I learned through this." The shift won't come through force, but through encounter, through gentle waves of my presence breaking down old perceptions. There's a reason some answers didn't come when you wanted them. If I gave you details too early, they might have become idols or distractions. If I explained everything before you walked it out, you may have stopped trusting me. I love you enough to let you walk by faith. And now that you've kept walking, even without full clarity, now that you've trusted me beyond your own understanding, the time has come to begin unveiling the pieces. Not all at once, but enough to give you breathe again. Enough to confirm you were not forgotten. Enough to show you I've been closer than your questions this whole time. So be ready. Journal if you must. Pay attention to what comes to mind in quiet moments. The answers won't always look dramatic. They'll come wrapped in peace, in knowing, and in a sudden confidence you didn't manufacture. You'll wake up tomorrow with a clarity that feels like sunlight after a long night. Because you asked without words, and I heard with compassion. Good night. That unspoken ache begins to transform not into noise, but into knowing. Not into resolution, but into revelation. And this will change everything. A consecrated night. Do not slip into these hours as though they are ordinary, stacking them among yesterday's memories and tomorrow's plans. Pause and mark the ground beneath your feet, for it will never feel the same again. Heaven has circled this span of darkness on eternity's calendar, setting it apart from the common march of minutes, a consecrated hinge on which two chapters swing. What has been, and what is about to unfold. The air itself testifies. Notice how it carries a subtle charge, a hush that settles across distractions, a crispness that seems to slice through lingering lethargy. It is holiness announcing its arrival. Tonight is not simply another tick of the planet's rotation. It is a flashpoint where the unseen realm presses so near that boundaries blur, where your history will bow to future promise, where destiny leans forward to greet your willingness. Treat this moment with reverence. Turn off the screens that siphon wonder. Dim the lights that mask the stars. Gather your thoughts like candles and set them ablaze in expectation. Because sacred opportunity flashes like a comet, brilliant, brief, and life-altering for those who lift their eyes. I have weighed your days and measured the hunger of your heart, and I declare the scales ready. Tonight balances the seasons. The wrestle between who you were and who you are becoming finds resolution under my gaze. Choices you make in these hidden hours will echo louder than public milestones, for holiness is not a stage but a covenant. Sanctify your inner dialogue. Let cynicism fall silent while gratitude amplifies. Consecrate your environment. Let music steep the room in peace. Let scripture breathe across the walls. Let your footprints trace patterns of prayer. This is the soil where kernels of purpose crack open, releasing shoots of new vision by dawn. This holy night requires posture more than theatrics. Bow your schedule, not just your head. Silence internal commentary that edits my promises down to what seems probable. Turn your body into an altar, hands open, shoulders unburdened, eyes uncluttered, so I can place fresh oil upon you without competition from old residue. Holiness is an attraction for the miraculous. It magnetizes favor, repels compromise, and stitches the torn edges of hope. As you treat these hours as hallowed, expect subtle miracles to unfold. Fatigue lifting with no logical cause, creative ideas pouring like rainfall, reconciliation stirring in hearts that once walled themselves off. The holiness of a moment rewrites atmospheres. Even appliances hum softer, traffic seems to part, and conversations tilt toward depth without prompting. Mark it physically if you must. Write the date, burn a candle, or stack a stone on a windowsill. Future days will test your resolve, and you will glance at that marker and remember that history pivoted here, not by spectacle, but by consecration, not through multiplied tasks, but through multiplied surrender. I have done mighty works on battlefields and in palaces, yet I delight equally in transforming living rooms into sanctuaries when a yielded soul whispers, "Have your way." Consider how travelers stride past historic landmarks, unaware of the revolution signed within their walls. Similarly, many will drift through this night, numbed by routine. But you are awake, eyes wide to wonder, a spirit tuned to the frequency of a divine invitation. Stand watch, lean in, listen for the gentle rustle of angelic movement as assignments transfer, as scrolls are sealed, as chains you carried for generations melt beneath the ambient glory. Holiness repurposes pain into power, grief into growth, and waiting into weighty authority. What has stalked your family line? Addiction, scarcity, insecurity, fear stepping onto consecrated ground. It cannot breathe in oxygen saturated with revelation. Do not confuse holiness with distance or austerity. It is fierce intimacy, burning away lesser fires so only pure flame remains. Let laughter still ring. Let creativity bloom. Let affection flow. Joy is the fragrance of a sanctified space. Yet guard against frivolity that dilutes focus. Walk light, speak slow. Notice the way time seems to stretch. These are clues that eternal hands are turning pages. When dawn tints the horizon, resist the urge to shrug and rush back into a hurry. Beloved, this night was not an accident. You were meant to hear this word, and what has begun in your spirit will not fade if you keep returning to the place where I speak. Do not let the noise of tomorrow drown out the urgency of today. Each message released here is not just content, it is a continuation of what I am doing in you. So return often, expectantly, as one who waits at the altar for fire to fall. Subscribe, remain connected, and come back again and again, for I am not finished. Your next instruction, your next confirmation, your next breakthrough awaits in the words I will release here. This is only the beginning. Amen.